Islam, Islam, Islam. Islam, Moorish America. I am Dr. Torre Nur Rasul Simpson Bay, National Sister Grand Chair of the Moorish America. Giving rise and praise to another grand manifest in Moorish America. Islam, Islam. We want to welcome you to another Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate class sponsored by our Moorish American government. Our host instructor will be our National Assistant, Grand Sheikh of Moorish America, Dr. Shadu Aminti El Muhajjid Sebshuel. Today's platform is provided by the God Allah Georgia Consulate. And once again, we give honors. Honors is due. Islam, Islam. Dr. MATHENO'S Bay, how you be, sir?
Islam God, man, I'm just more Zella. How about yourself?
Oh, man, just as more Zella with the prophet out front.
Yes, sir. Do you need me?
I always work to do. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you use me?
Man, listen. Man, like a Moorish American always could be used, especially a faithful Muslim like yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Bro. I'm striving, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Man, listen. And I tell you, looking good as you do so. Islam, it's sounding good.
I got my camera working.
Oh, yeah, I see you. I see you. Well, yeah, man, go ahead if you don't mind. You can start out with the prayer, and then I'll follow with the Constitution. And other than that, we'll see who else comes in and bring forth their measure as well.
Islam.
Islam, Dr. Sebsu to the Common Bay, our Grand National Secretary of State. How you be on this grand occasion?
Oh, just great. National Sister Grand Chairman, yourself?
We're just as more as ever.
Islam, got us. Glad to see you. Glad to hear you.
Glad to be here.
Islam is peace and love to you and the mighty travel of endurance. Islam.
Gratitude. Peace and love to you as well.
Islam.
I've been saying the prayer all morning, so that should be good.
Islam. Hey, that's something we can't never say that enough.
I'm trying to tell you. Shoot, you better.
Hey, you be out there, you be like, what the?
Yeah.
Father of the universe.
Yes, sir. Gotta reach over there to the side, in the back, in the front. You know what I mean? Grab it.
Yeah, and where I go, I had that satchel. I got that satchel with me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Indeed. Yes, indeed. Let's see, we got 4 more minutes. We'll see what's coming on in here. Let's see, we got
We got another caller.
803-452-5384.
South Carolina.
Larry Bay, South Carolina Consulate.
Hey, how you be? Peace and love.
All is well. How about yourself?
Oh, we're just as more as ever, beloved. Glad to hear your voice, my man.
Hey, likewise, brother, likewise.
Yeah, glad to hear your voice. I heard that measure as I was coming through Colorado. I was coming through the Colorado mountains. I heard that measure. I said, okay. Yes, and I think that was let me see. I think it was Wednesday. Wednesday night's class, I believe, when Dr. Dendra Neal Kurt debate opened up. Islam,
brother. Well, hey, say each one teach one, brother. So we get a drawing of each other, man.
all the time, sure. That's the beauty about Sacred Grove, Islam.
Hey, look here. We got Marvelous Marvin Hagler in our government.
Yeah, you know.
Marvelous. It was big.
Yes, sir.
Knockout punch.
Oh man, don't make him go bald, Dr. Larry Bay.
Okay. Gratitude, God, man. Glad to hear you on the manifest.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Indeed.
I still haven't gotten that third page though. Just FYI.
I tried to call you yesterday, but I think I messed it. I tried to call you yesterday, but I think I think the first 3 numbers I must have had wrong.
Okay. That happens. Well, call me later whenever you get an opportunity.
Yeah, because she said she sent it, so I probably have her do it again.
Okay. Got Dr. Bati Bay on the scene.
Yeah.
Islam,
Grand man.
Islam.
Let's see. We got our National Sister Grand Sheik on the board as well. Islam, Swift Angel number 4.
Islam, Moors.
Islam. Oh, we just more as ever.
Islam.
Chicken and bacon, but we all right.
Praise be to Allah. Islamism.
Islam. Well, we got 1 minute more, and like I said, Dr. Marvin Edwards Bay, aka Marvin Hagler, Marvin Hagler Bay. You got to open up the way, and then Brother Bati Bay, would you want to read the chapter of the week, sir? Or are you stationary?
Islam, stationary. Chapter 23.
Yes, sir.
Islam.
All right, then. Well, Islam. Dr. Dan Carter Bell on the manifest. Okay. Dr. Dendra Nia Kurt Bay. Islam, God, as we see on the manifest. All right.
Islam, gratitude.
Islam and gratitude. Hey, Dr. Dan Carter Bay, I have an engagement to go to with my son. Would you mind closing out once Dr. Shadu Amenti is done with his presentation?
Oh, yes, I can do that. Islam.
Praise Allah. Gratitude.
Gratitude.
Islam, Moorish America. Let us rise and give all praise to our Father, God, Allah, and also our Holy Prophet, as our brother, Dr. Marvin Edwards Bay, open up the way. We just want to welcome you to another EARS class, another Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate class, sponsored by our Moorish government. Our host will be our National Assistant Grand Sheikh, Dr. Shadu Amenti Al-Muhajir Shabshuel, and today's platform will be provided by the God Allah Georgia Territory. Islam. I hand this meeting over to our brother, Dr. Marvin Edwards Bay, Divine Minister, Texas Counselor General. Islam, Adamo, open up the way.
Islam, gratitude, praise Allah, and honor the Prophet, and honor everything that's more. I'm Dr. Edwards Bay, and we will begin. Ya Allah Nuheru Meku Netaru. Ya Allah Abheshuru. Ya Allah Ma'at Haru. Ya Allah Hotep Haru. Ya Allah Haru. Ya Allah Ma'ad Herkuti. Ya Allah Amajet Awajet De Juti. Ya Allah Pratem Sutek Pratem Haru. Ya Allah Bamaduti. Thou heads his way up to Ali. Amen. Alias. In transliteration, O Allah, the Father of the universe. O Allah, the Father of love. O Allah, the Spirit of truth. O Allah, the Spirit of peace. O Allah, the Spirit of freedom. O Allah, the Spirit of justice. O Allah, you are my protector. O Allah, you are my guide. O Allah, by night and by day. O Allah, through your Holy Prophet. Over through Ali. Did I say salvation? O Allah, you are my protector. O Allah, you are my guide. O Allah, you are my salvation. By night and by day. O Allah, through your Holy Prophet. Through Ali. Amen. Holy Issa, Holy Issa, Holy Issa. Gratitude, Morris.
Islam. It's Dr. Bati Bay with the Iowa Territory. First, I'd like to rise, give all manner of praise to Allah.
Dr. Bati Bay. The Constitution is next. That's on me. You got the chapter of the week, sir. Islam, gratitude, though. Swing that scimitar. Salvation, our God, unity. The divine constitution of Moorish America. Islam, family. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the chairman of Moorish America are empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the grand body of Moorish America. The assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the citizens of Moorish America. The bylaws, Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on a Friday, the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and descended into his Father, God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of Moorish America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the said laws of the Constitution, laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folk, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name, be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a partial of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America, and then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting and fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, peace and blessings be upon him, founder and father and framer of the divine constitution and bylaws of Moorish America. And now that this meeting has been opened, according to Act 2, and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, we say Islam, Islam, Islamism. And at this time, we're going to bring forth our Divine Minister, Dr. Bati Bey, Iowa Council General, with the chapter of the week, Islam.
Islam, Islam, Islam. First, I'd like to rise, give our man of praise to Allah, understood the Prophet, understood our theocratic government, our world council, our flag, seal, emblem, our divine constitution, our swift angels, our muftis, our citizens alike, honest to all Moors here and there, honest to everyday Moors. With that, I will open up with chapter 23. Yehoshua reveals the marriage laws of man and wife from Allah. The law forbids adultery, but in the eyes of the law, adultery is an overt act. The satisfaction of the senses, the sensuous self outside the marriage bonds. Now marriage in the sight of the law is but a promise made by man and woman by the sanction of the priest to live together until death. No priest or officer has the power from Allah to bind two souls in wedded love. What is a marriage tie? It is not what the priest may say or do. There is but one true marriage, and Allah alone can perform this marriage. It is the love of Allah that finds its way into the two, man and woman's hearts, and that is all ever to be. Your priest cannot cause this to be. It is the promise of the two that they will love each other until death. Is love a passion that is subject to the will of man? Can man pick up his love as he would a gem and lay it down or give it out to anyone? Can love be bought and sold like sheep? Love is the power of Allah that binds two souls and makes them one. There is no power on earth that can dissolve this bond. The bodies may be forced apart by man or death for just a little time, but they will meet again. Now, in this bond of Allah, we find the marriage tie. All other unions are but bonds of straw, and they who live in them commit adultery. But more than this, the man or woman who indulges lustful thoughts commits adultery, whom Allah has joined together. Man cannot part. Whom man has joined together live in sin. But lo, I say that he who in the heart desires to possess that which is not his own is a thief in the sight of Allah. The thing which men see not with eyes of flesh are of more worth than the things that men can see. A good name is worth 1,000 times a mind of gold. And he who says a word or does a deed that injures or defames that name is a thief. Upon the table of the law we read, thou shalt not covet anything. To covet is an all-consuming wish to have anything that is not right for anyone to have, and such wish is the spirit of the law. Is theft. Let me read that again. To covet is an all-consuming wish to have anything that is not right for anyone to have, and such wish in the spirit of law is theft. Islam. Now I turn this meeting back over to Dr. Torrey Simpson Bey, Islam, our assistant chairman.
Islam, Grand Man, Dr. Bati Bey. Iowa Council General, gratitude for that reading, chapter 23. Yehoshua reveals the marriage law of man and wife from Allah. Islam, Moorish America. Well, at this time, without further ado, we're going to call forth the Grand Man, our National Sister Grand Sheikh, Dr. Shadu Amenti Al Muhajir Shuel. At this time, Islam, Grand Man, the floor is yours. Just put it over there. Islam.
Islamism people, Moorish American Muslims, free national citizens of the Moorish American nation, want to rise upon the seven and give all praises to the great God Allah, Father God Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere. And therefore, honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal. We give honors to our Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution, and bylaws. And honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything. And I do mean everything that our holy prophet brought to make us a nation. Islam, Moorish American Muslims, we are indeed a people. That's what the prophet said. You know, we are a nation. And we want to give honors to you, all of you who have come forth again to another ears research Sultanate session. And this going to be a grand drawing right here, Moors. You know, we ain't going to try to pull the whole age of benevolence on our Moorish kin. But when I tell you this is a lifelong task right here, this is a lifelong task. You know, it's enough work for all of us to do and the third and fourth generations coming behind us. This is a great task. But we got some good news for our Moorish kin in regards to dealing with this great task that we have. You know, we sure enough gonna put them out there now. You know, everybody that been trying to bury, you know, this ancient Egyptian way of life, it's time for the grand exposition, so to speak, of these ones. So, yeah, Moors, y'all already know we in our 7th session in regards to dealing with the herein KEMET, you know, known by many as the Hieratic language. We, like I say, we got a lot to bring forth to our Moorish kin, and it's gonna be a grand unfoldment. And you know, we always like to begin by coming from our book of fire. So, you know, there is no other way that we can open this measure up than coming forth from our book of fire. I want to start by having our Moorish kin read from page 82. And we will go over into we can actually go to page 80. Well, actually, we can go to page 90, since it's like kind of broke up and chopped up here now. We get 3 more to come forth, if it will, to open up the way in regards to dealing with our reading.
Tom?
That our Grand National Secretary of the State, I heard her and Marvin Bay sound like it's
Islam.
Okay, all right, Goddess and Queen. Well, we'll have you start from page 82, if you will. And you can go over to page 84. You can actually stop, at the section where it says noonday sun. Islam.
Islam.
Okay, gratitude. And then Brother Marvin Edwards Bay.
Yes, sir.
You can actually stop at, well, you can start at what about a Mason being free? And then go all the way over into page 87 above accepted. Islam.
87.
Actually, you can stop at the bottom of 86.
Okay.
In Islam, we got one more.
Islam.
Islam. Who that is there?
Bati Bay.
All right, Brother Bati Bay, gratitude, grand man. Well, you can start at the top of 87 and you can finish up at 90. Islamism.
Islam.
Gratitude.
Islam. National Assistant Grand Sheikh, do you want me to start at the shallow grave of Freemasonry?
That's
on
correct.
page 82?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, gratitude.
Gratitude.
Islam Moorish Ken, first of all, I'm going to rise, giving all praises to our Father God Allah, giving honor to our Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, the last prophet in these days and times, giving honor to our ears class, our Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate class, giving honor to our Georgia consulate for providing the forum, to Dr. Edwards Bay, Consul General Texas, for opening up our meeting with prayer, to our National Assistant Grand Chairman, Dr. Torre Anu Rasul Simpson Bay, for our Divine Constitution and Bylaws, Consul General Iowa, Dr. Bati Bay, Patara Anpu Ani Bati Bay, for reading our subject chapter for the week, giving honor to our host, our National Assistant Grand Sheikh of Moorish America, Dr. Shadow Amenti Mohedjed Shepsuel, to Act One, and to all of our Moorish kin on point. The shallow grave of Freemasonry. Who's buried there? What European master masons do not want their profane world to know. I have come to take the cover off all the secret societies. Noble Drew Ali, 1921. The real foundation of Western Freemasonry rests upon an awful murder. This murder is a pogrom of the God-man of the Nile, African kings, and indigenous African nationals. This capital crime included the subjugation of Africa through the dousing of, quote unquote, the light in Egypt and the obscurity of the true Garden of Eden. This homicide is disguised in the Constitution of Freemasonry as the killing of Hiram Abiff, the widow's son. The embodiment of this slaying is unquestionably the master crime of the times. Hiram's death depicts a history from the first physical, parentheses, African man to be enlightened with wisdom, to the last mankind, parentheses, European, to become civilized with knowledge and back again. To understand this murder is to free the Negro from his disguised grave of perpetual slavery, using the only divine key that will separate this mystery, parentheses, secret, from where it is lodged in Freemasonry. Although Freemasonry is not a religious order, it is predominantly structured from the Bible, the Torah, the Vedas, and the Holy Quran. All of these books lay opened on the Masonic altars, pending the height of their degrees. The parable of Hiram Abiff can be found in the Torah, parentheses, Old Testament, 1 Kings, 7th chapter. This Masonic, his story, is more of a cover than a book. It is similar to the fallacy of having a criminal describe his own crime. Because of these covert activities, it will take this chapter, written in layman terms, to explain these magnanimous essences to the need to know. Since this murder has not been publicly reported, the true characters will be revealed because there is no innocence to protect. Not only has this murder gone unreported, but also because of the great conspiracy, those who have been most victimized now carry the black mark of death, yet do not realize he is dead. Well, yet does not realize he is dead. Yet both the murder and the death are real. Because Noble Drew Ali became an Egyptian adept master, he is often mistaken to be a Freemason or higher order of Shriners, etc. However, this chapter will clearly reveal no true God man can be a Muslim who submits his or her will to the will of the great God Allah, while simultaneously give his will via oaths to the worshipfulness of a man. The beginning of Western Freemasonry. There is a vast difference between Western Freemasonry and African self-mastery, whose ancient educations were centered in Kemet, parentheses, Egypt. The European orders of Freemasonry are built upon the letter of universal laws stolen from Africa's grand temples. Everything from tools, signs, symbols, and most manifests seen by the carnal eyes were pillaged northward into Europe. At all costs, Western Freemasonry should never be construed as something beneficial to children of Africa. All lodges of European Freemasonry are built upon sciences, tools, signs, symbols, laws, and rituals pillaged from the temples, universities, lodges, and pyramids of Northeast and Northwest Africa. Contrary to the Masons' degree of being free, ancient, and accepted, Freemasonry, as it is established today, only recently began at the turn of the 18th century. Its first recorded meeting was held on June 24th, 1717 in London, England, in a tavern called the Goose and the Gridiron. The social gathering of England's aristocrats, men of wealth and education, formulated the Masonic order out of boredom and tardies. They were the elite haves separated from the have-nots and believed they could make good men better. James Anderson, D.D., and the Reverend John Zisagouliers, scientist, philosopher, and third Grand Master, centered the founding rituals upon what they knew of the Egyptian adept religions of Isis and Osiris. What was the mother of all the world's religions, the ancient Egyptian mystery system, the perfection of God in man, has been rearranged into the 3 degrees of Masonry. Most of their structures, both building and constitution, were taken from the original African God-man, mainly Solomon, and the building of his temple. Yet the lessons can reach as far back to when the leprous, pale-skinned people were first cast out of the Amexium, the first true and divine name of Africa, and toe-lined into the Caucasus Mountains of Europe, to when Moses went to civilize them. Or, in other rituals and forms, Masons will acknowledge other African masters of the same family. Example given: Abraham, Boaz by Ruth, David, Hezekiah, Joachim, Joseph, and Yehoshua. Although they may also draw some of their power from the Buddhists, their highest requirement is to find the God they seek, whose Arabic name is Allah. The Encyclopedia Britannica describes Freemasonry as the world's largest secret society. Malcolm C. Duncan, in Duncan's Masonic Ritual and Monitor, 3rd edition, 1929 to 1996, writes quite candidly to say, it is a fraternal order for freeborn white men, sound of limb, not blind, deaf, or crippled, of age 21 or older, binding its initiates to one another and to the institution for life by death oaths. It is always good to know the heart of a given subject. So let's examine the free, ancient, and accepted principles of Freemasonry. The Masonic coffin and Africa's acacia tree. In Freemasonry, the coffin is showcased as an emblem of mortality. The prefix mort, M-O-R-T, always relates to death. The word mortality refers to human deaths on a massive scale. Example given: war, disease, catastrophe, or genocide. The West African God-man who civilized Spain, Italy, and Portugal for 800 years was the trusted keeper of ancient mystery system of God in man. His infinite wisdom is the true tools which builds Solomon's temple. The lodges of Western Freemasonry used the coffin to conceal their murder of this West African god-man. The sprig of acacia, a tree indigenous to continental Africa, is the Masonic tombstone now marking the grave of the first man formed in human flesh to indeed be African. An upright five-pointed pentagram denotes Morocco as his exact West African jurisdiction. Morocco was the capital of the old Moorish Empire. Below are four of the coffins used by various orders of Western Freemasonry. They all bear the pentagram. Some stars are open and some closed, but all represent man. All coffins have the acacia sprig, but some also boldly display the murder weapon, parentheses, setting maul, used to render the final blow to Hiram Abiff. Others show the very shovel of constitutional laws used to bury him in a northwestern shallow grave. Although dead, he was trained to walk around as Negro, Black, and colored people, but never to realize himself as God. The feigned existence of Hiram would never enable him to rise from the world's most secret massacre, whole, intact, as one nation bearing one free national name. If the Western Masonic coffins could talk, each would say, "We are the same." Notice the Moorish pentagram. Some men marked our tombstone with Negro, Black, or colored. Others with African Americans. We are buried here to rest in pieces as property. These marks are truly slave names that were given to us as conquered West African nationals during the lawful times of slavery, 1779 to 1865. We bear but one free national name, Moorish Americans, but no one has heard us yet. Soon, all coffins will talk. Then the earth will tremble from truth, but will rejoice and marvel from the divine life being returned to the dry bones, which has been left to dry from perpetual mental deaths in noonday sun. Islam.
All right, Marvin Evans Bay, brother, you got it?
Pardon this body, I was just rattling on, rising, giving all praise to the great God of Allah, giving highest honors to his prophet Noble Drew Ali Al Sharif Abdul Ali. Give honor to our Act 1. I give high honor to all of our officials. I give high honor to this class, our ears class, as well as I give honors to Dr. Shadu Amiti Al Muhammad Shepswell for hosting our ears class, as well as I give honors to the Georgia Consulate for providing the platform and for everything that's Moorish. And I shall begin. What about Mason being free? Make no mistake about it. The institution of Western Freemasonry is an expression of freedom for certain males with pale skin, age 21, with sound mind and body. With the African God-man temporarily entombed for a few centuries, the criminals fancied themselves safe to introduce to the world Europe's version of peace on earth and freedom to all men. The suffix free in Freemasonry is of great significance because it establishes the very status of the order and in the intent of its members. Noble Drew Ali taught the Moors, although you were born free, you will come to know that nothing is free until it is of itself, clean, pure, unmixed. Be yourself, Moors. As water offer freedom for fish to swim, as air offer freedom for birds to fly, like so secrecy offers freedom for Masons to work and not be detected. When any living thing is free, it's due to the natural autonomy which offers security and glory of their own prosperity. The history of the European race shows their concept of freedom is acquired through conquest and where survival of the fittest is the superior law. When Europeans see other cultures, be they human, beast, fowl, or of the sea, living in their natural state of freedom, it is viewed as wild, uncivilized, barbaric, and primitive. This concept must be reviewed in light of the historical fact Europeans were the last people on Earth to discover it was not flat, and arithmetic is not witchcraft. Still, after nearly 6,000 years, they exalt their version of civilization as being more advanced than the primitive, as they remain in feigned search of global peace through the crosshairs of murder weapons. Actually, the free part of Freemasonry comes through medieval stonemasonry guilds. During that period, during that brief period of European history, a stonemason who had become a master mason and working for himself was free to travel the land in practicing his trade without supervision. Therefore, a mason, having mastered his craft and now a cut above all others who are bound down to the profane world, would call himself free. As you read further in this chapter, it will be proven the free in Western Freemasonry has absolutely nothing to do with those men of African descent. Noble Drew Ali gave the Moorish many holy instructions to being free. Among these commands, he ordered the Moorish Americans as a new nation of people, saying, "We, as a clean and pure nation descended from the inhabitants of Africa, do not desire to amalgamate or marry into the families of the pale-skinned nations of Europe. Neither serves the gods of their religion, because our forefathers are the true and divine founders of the first religious creed for the redemption and the salvation of mankind on earth. Therefore, we are returning the church and Christianity back to the European nations as it was prepared for their forefathers for their earthly salvation. While we, the Moorish Americans, are returning to Islam, which was founded by our forefathers for our earthly and divine salvation." See Appendix, Moorish Holy Quran 48, 6 through 8. The key here is the Holy Prophet was teaching a people yet to be realized as a nation. Only the subject burial delays this realization. The MEC males are denationalized, nationless men woven into property by the constitutional laws of a declared people. This is why Freemasonry is forbidden to Negro, Black, colored, African American men, and other slaves, spoken on later in this chapter. Freedom has always been mysterious and unknown to the Negro. No Negro, Black, or colored person has ever known freedom. How can anyone, Negro or other man-made beast, possibly be free while in want of their right minds? No one has ever searched for an unknown treasure for the simple reason they are no conscious of its value and existence. As all things must conform to its nature, true freedom is not in the psychic nature of a slave. For example, the NBC. It is for this reason it is for this reason alone the Negro, while dressed to the gills as Master Mason, will never know the freedom found in the free national name of all other fraternal large brothers of the earth except him. The male NBC will be the very last to discover they have been made more animal, yet in the shell of a man. See, in reality, what is a Negro, chapter 2. As Moorish, the NBC still suffering from mental slavery have not actively sought their fourth principle, freedom, because they have never experienced freedom since being subjected to 230 years under the iron-handed Roman yoke and laws of the United States. By design, the NBC has never been free and therefore cannot fathom the wars of resistance other families, tribes, nations, and countries will fight to the last child to sustain their freedom. MBC cannot see heritage, lineage, contributions, territory, flags, language, and principles, which packages the natural treasures of a people because they have never had these things. Although Drew Ali said, I have brought you everything it takes to save a nation. Now take it and save yourselves. They still will not pursue what is rightfully their own. Many have been fruitlessly trying to find ways of amalgamating their free national name of Moorish America into being a United States citizen. Somehow, some way, maybe perhaps someday. No. How can any nation be free and independent while being oppressed and ruled by another nation? Moors must learn to love instead of hate in order to consciously evolve into being themselves gods and at one with Allah. This is the one thing no one can help them to do. They must do this by themselves, for themselves. Freedom is Moorish. Freedom is sought and obtained by the captured. Freedom is the final right of the wrongfully imprisoned or enslaved. The Moorish must actively strive for their true freedom and stop praying for it to come from those who do not have it to give. No Masonic lodge and the United States do not have their freedom. If they did, it would be forbidden for them to return what they have contaminated after pillage. It was never in the Emancipation Proclamation of the 1861 or 13th Amendment of 1865. The true freedom of the Moorish lay dormant within their will, need, and desire. Indeed, this is what Drew Ali meant when he told the Moors to lace up your own bootstraps. Meanwhile, the free in Masonry is also a sign of European payroll from their Caucasus imprisonment away from civilized humanity. It should be remembered the only light of divinity and knowledge was centered in Kemet of Akubalan and other continents peopled by the original families with hue. Pale-skinned people of Europe were completely without any form of education, culture, sciences, and basic intellect until the advent of Moses and later the Greek called Alexander. That is to say, the word Mason esoterically means mass of sun, self-worshiping of self-pale-skinned man unto himself. Masons reveal this as they refer to themselves as widows' sons. To Masons, all women are widows because they can only sustain and deliver the sons of men. Hence, any man she either marries or conceives by ultimately must be her son and leave her widowed without a husbandman. They are therefore free, son of a widow, free from the wombed man, a widow. A strange programming. But then again, Nimrod married his mother, and it was ceremonially remembered with an every December 25th. See the truth about Christmas. Once a Mason has proclaimed himself free, the next step is to state that he is also ancient. However, since all true Freemasons are the pale skin of the pale skin persuasion, here again we find the word ancient has also been claimed, jumped, and objurgated by any African master, by any old African master. Ancient. I know my Moorish brothers who are faithfully members of the Masonic Lodge of what's happening now will be pissed to the highest of placidity. But what on my green earth is an ancient Negro? Let's briefly explain, or pardon self, examine. A typical ancient Negro Mason of the mystic order of American Lodge in Yotown, USA. First and foremost, take all the ancient NBC Masons and throw them out the nearest modern sub-basement floor window. All Negroes have been made in the colonial USA, which is less than 250 years old. The African origin of the word ancient begins about 10,000 BC and works its way backwards beyond Lemuria before the great earthquake. This brings to surface a reasonable question. Since all NBC are made in the US, then how ancient can a Negro Mason truly be? A common grade school student, if taught the truth, will know Black people cannot be a lawful day older than the history of the United States. I will address this frivolous issue more in depth later. As for Masons using the word ancient, it nearly always implies to their European roots in the Egyptian flower pots of Africa. Europeans themselves have not been civilized long enough to have an ancient history. At best, they can only trace their history to about 1500 BC. Anything they claim knowledge of prior to that date is purely prehistory. Media orchestrated guesswork with a heavy accent on objurgating their Africa lab technicians. Most Europeans will not acknowledge their true origin, so they place the beginning of their lives in the obscurity of primate parents and dark ages. The true essence of ancient times is the first consciousness to the harmony of universal laws established by the torchbearers of civilization, being issued by the government of man on earth. These laws, created with the original man, were passed on with sacred care to their descendants who evolved into today's forefathers. This also includes all sciences of geometry, astronomy, and holistic living, etc. To the original African God-man of the Nile, the word ancient transliterates to the eras of wisdom and to when we were gods. It begins around 5000 BC and extends to the creation and fall of man. The Hewlett songs of Europe were not even a thought, or at best, a good African experiment gone oops, damn. Also the word ancient usually implies the civilized person, periods, peoples, and times prior to the European exodus and developed an ancient history. Pardon self, European exodus and attempted socialization. Since the various pale-skinned nations of Europe have not been around long enough to originate, been around long enough to develop an ancient history, they naturally contrive and fabricate various prehistoric ones. Rather than admit they originate by the dark-skinned Africans, his story will only admit being spurned from a dark, hairy daddy with houses of trees. Due to the obscurity of parental origin, this birth period is classified as the Dark Ages. However, a Dark Age is actually a period of forbidden education of one people against another. Because Gog and Magog, the pale children, did not awaken in holistic harmony with the earth and universe, a warlike nature became a way of life. Within its 2,000 years, Europeans had evil, middle evil, and current evil periods, while aggressively and foolishly seeking the principle of peace with a weapon. The handing down of world rule postulates has been labeled through rituals and customs as creeds, religions, vine and fig trees, manhood, training and bar mitzvah, etc. Except for master masons who ultimately discover this phenomenon in their above the 32nd degree of seeking. Even then, being a guild, they are sworn to secrecy and cannot tell upon the penalty of death. This gave rise to the phrase, they that know don't tell, and they that tell don't know. Actually, the only thing a master mason knows and don't tell is who is that buried in our shallow grave, and the true free identity of the so-called Negroes, blacks and colored people. Whoever coined this statement had obviously omitted Muslims completely because they are the ones who are forbidden to argue, but to know and well tell the truth. This coined earthbound remark does not apply to Emmanuel, God and man, men of God, who still know today what Masons know not. Masonry's base is mostly symbolic and speculative. It uses the symbols and tools of the laboring man as gestures, signs, and forms, not the laborer per se. In the beginning, there were no operative masons in the order. It was compiled of mostly England's social finest gentlemen of means who saw all others as hoi polloi down the narrow of their noses. The word others included their women, cripples, persons of few and lesser European males. About 5 years later, France, in elite competition, began its idea of Freemasonry, but British royalty considered it a rogue because it leans more so to the occultism. All the original true Freemasonry is of highly restricted membership. In fact, one of the death oaths of a true Master Mason is to swear he will never take part in the initiation of a clandestine Mason, a black, a woman, a cripple, a young man in his nonage, or an old man in his dotage, feeble, senile, madman, or a fool. Even to this day, the junior deacon will ask the candidate of his qualifications to gain admission to the lodge. His answer is by being a man, free-born, white, and of full age. Naturally, so-called black masons, not knowing their rectum from a hole in the fence, omits this free-born and white portions in their large initiations, but be assured they know who's not included in their master's plan. I'll just read this last line. So what can an NBC Master Mason possibly do to initiate a true white Freemason to be? Islam.
Islam. Dr. Bati Bey, the Iowa Territory, praise and honor is previously given. Start reading. It says, accepted. As for being accepted, here again, one must see through the dual meanings of Masonic words. Masons use the words profane world when describing all non-Masons with no exception, e.g., wives, mothers, religion, associates, children, courts, laws, ethnic persuasion, and Yehoshua, etc. All of these make up the profane world of Freemasonry. The word profane derives from the Latin word profanus, meaning 1, outside or excluded from the temple. 2, unclean, polluted, unholy, and completely unacceptable. Notice how exact profanus describes the entire constitutional man-made design of the so-called Negro. According to all Masonic pillars, everything and everybody in the world is profane, which has not been sworn and made Masonic. This leads to one master question. Where on earth amongst all the nations of the human family has the NBC ever been accepted? With the truth in lending, property be told, there is not a nation on earth that will publicly admit knowing the Negro is even here. Hard to believe. Well, answer this question. In the history of European occupied Americas, has any nations, countries, or tribes ever come to the aid of the NBC? Or which nation would stop the United States from an inevitable problem of her entire colored people inventory? And what is the likelihood of all fez wearing loyal? I cannot tell you I am the secret Black Mason and 14th Amendment Temple citizens with its sister auxiliary lodge and other Greek coconuts been saved from their ever-present plan of genocide for the sake of homeland security. Actually, in the event of problem of the Negro, our good Masons and preachers will lead them to no return, the Keen Alfred plan. There are many things that are held high upon the list of exclusives in the realm of Freemasonry. The most sacred of these exclusions is either you are accepted as a European white Mason or you are a part of the Masonic profane world. Hence, Masons are free, ancient, and accepted. This acceptance creates massive egotistical dosages of tunnel vision amongst Masons. Truly, this acceptance is strictly one Mason's acceptance of another Mason's masonry unto themselves. After all, in the Masonic psyche, the rest of the world has been declared profane and unworthy of acceptance in Freemasonry. A true Mason will never accept any other being, be he or she human or mankind, as equal or above himself, bar none. The United States Constitution is the most famous written testimonial attesting to only Masons accepted. The foundation of this great document clearly distinguishes the only people, whole persons, citizens, and their prosperity, matured male children, is European white males ages 21. Everybody else, where are Indians not taxed 3/5 of all persons, aliens, or could not own property or the right to vote, nor have status, neither voice within the jurisdiction of his court of law. Today, 225 years and 37 amendments later, Indians still own no within the securities of the United States to be taxed. The 3/5 clause declaring all Negroes, Blacks, and colored people to the property and subject to the jurisdiction are still not citizens, but persons owned by Congress. The European women have been granted the privilege to vote in 1919 and superiously allowed to own property with a limited voice in court, are in no way granted entry into any of the thousands of Masonic lodges, nor allowed the rights of citizenry, which are guaranteed to her counterparts in the Constitution. As Noble Drew Ali told the Moors, since the rights of citizens are guaranteed in the Constitution of the United States, there is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendment for the redemption of my people. Here, the same principle is applicable to Susan B. Anthony, nearly 100 years old. Women's suffrage movement, which ended with women approval to vote in 1919, 49 years after male ex-slaves. If the European women were accepted as citizens in the Constitution, there should not have been a need for the application of the 19th Amendment, albeit as long as Masons uphold the new nation brought forth on this continent by their white male fathers. Everyone thereabouts is profane, except not one nation or God has accepted the Moors since they have been made into NBCs. The Masonic story of herein. Once during a time, there lived a king whose greatest desire was to build a temple for the solemn purpose of serving his creator. The king's name was Solomon, and he was the wisest master builder dedicated to the following the temple's blueprint design by his grand architect. King Solomon summoned the most accomplished craftsmen in the civilized world, India, Persia, and China. The call was for the masters of the order of Melchizedek from the sacred school of the Nazarites. An African brother named Hiram Abiv, who was also a master of building tools, also answered this Nazarite call. There was one Hiram from the kingdom of Tyre, the capital of which was Sidon. Also answered Sidon in the village of Zarephath, where he lived with his mother. One of Hiram's specialties was constructing pillars. The purpose of the pillar is to support that which is above with that which is below. Hiram's headdress called a fez depicted the master of his craft. 1 Kings 7th chapter. The other biblical Hiram is from Tyre. Hiram Abiv became the master builder of King Solomon's temple in Jerusalem. One day, as Hiram, with his tools, was on his assigned route, three ruffians savagely attacked him. The three robbers named Jubilah, and Jubilam stole Hiram's tools and clothes. The three assailants were from the sun-cursed tribes and were after the secrets of King Solomon's temple and were beside themselves for not being invited to the building of the grand temple. Hiram Abiv stood naked before them, and after they saw he did not have the key to King Solomon's temple, the thieves knocked Hiram in the head with the setting log, killing him at high noon. To hide their crimes, the murderers buried Hiram in a shallow grave in the northern portion of the kingdom and concealed the grave with an evergreen plant on top of it. A search party of Hiram's fellow craftsmen came in need of their master builder. When the three Jubilees were questioned whether they had seen Hiram on our straightway, they each denied any knowledge of it, but were beheaded. They continued their search in the south, east, and west, but his body was finally found in the north after 4 long days, 400 years. All the king's men could not lift the son of the widow from the grave intact. Only the king would know the right grip to raise Hiram Abiv from the grave. And so it came to pass in 1913 AD, the year Noble Ali returned the ancient Egyptian mystery teachings to the fallen sons and daughters of North America. All Freemasons vowed by a series death oaths to be brutally mutilated prior to his death before he would dare reveal the truth about Hiram, the widow's son. The vows of secrecy are behind every major and minor setback of racism, Jim Crowism, racial profiling, and judicial abuse that was sustained both physically and mentally, and mental enslavement of Africans in the European history and Americas. These oaths are as serious as open chemical warfare and should not be taken lightly by anyone, especially the victims. The true story of Hiram Abiv, the widow's son, is the reenactment of the entombing of the African family, hereby called Moors, for ancestral and legal purposes. This is the world's greatest secret, kept from human families since Yehoshua was kept in India and Egypt for 18 years. This same African God-man can be seen today as he lay in state under the word persons in the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution. Every president must swear under oath to keep the murdered hidden and the body of the new African nation buried, so help me God. Religious
slavery, Freemason. In the beginning, 1460 to 1492 through 1555 to 1619, the enslavement of the Moors was a religious issue. It was supported by the Jews with their Torah, enforced by the Muslims with their Quran, and all entities under the cross, from the Roman Catholic Pope Vatican to the Christian churches of Europe. King James I solicited the literary expertise of Shakespeare, so his version of the Bible would endorse slavery as an act ordained by God. As for the business ends of these three great religions, the Muslims supply Africans for the slave trade. The Jews taxed their interest earned on the investment ships and shackled franchises, and the Christians used the chattel for free labor and main producers for raw and finished products, which profits went back to the church, synagogues, and mosques. These marked the beginning of today's economical development on global scale. From 1619 to 1774, the inhumane and barbaric genocide to the African Moors reached an unprecedented proportion. In 300 years, nearly 400 million indigenous citizens of Northwest and Southwest Africa were kidnapped, enslaved, or had otherwise suffered unresolved disruptions to the genealogy of their families. Suddenly, around the time of the Revolutionary War, the church virtually had no more use or need for Judaism, nor their Islamic connection with Suddenly, around the same time, the Revolutionary War, the church virtually had no more use or need for Judaism, nor their Islamic connection with herein, the Masonic code name for whose body now lay in their Northwest grave. Africa became the widow when her son no longer remembered her husband. These three religions, unplanned by them, became fathers for the Freemasons' notorious Jubilee, Jubilee, Jubileum. These three ruffians will be explained in detail later in this chapter. As the world traders began to frequent their imports and exports to the Americas and the slave-breaking islands, the sin and shameless transatlantic crimes of chattel slavery became popular and accepted as the Christian thing to do. The carriers of the Holy Quran and the Torah and the Catholic Bible put them behind their backs in feigned innocence. The Christians' domination of Europe and their newly discovered Americas held steadfast to the dictates of King James, namely England, France, and the colonies. Remember, England and France. Everything, everyone, and every place under the sign of the cross was subject to the jurisdiction of the church as the year 1700 AD was turned. All other outside of the church were classified as heathens, rebels, or profane. That's that word, profane. There's that word, profane. However, the gap between the Roman Catholics, Holy Mary, Mother of God, and her Protestant son and savior, Yehoshua Christ, grew into wars from Ireland to Boston, Massachusetts. The economical spoils from the Moor slaves became an institution. It was here, in the midst of the bull market of slavery, back world religious Freemasonry got its start, beginning to corrupt between the rich and the church. Even the peasant criminals and social rejects of Europe were willing to sell themselves into indentured slavery, knowing in 7 to 9 years they could then join their brethren in a nice economical drink of milk and honey from the skulls of Africans. It was obvious in the institutions and booming business of chattel slavery must come under rule of a government to be sustained. The churches of Europe were being divided over the control of the colonies across the Atlantic. Royalties were bountiful and greedy aristocrats were multiplying and becoming stronger. The words abolishment of slavery were not to be considered, but the big three religions were beginning to publicly wash their hands in feigned innocence. However, the tug of war between between church and state over escalated slavery had begun. Higher taxes, interest rates were imposed. The final escalation of slavery was with the decrease of all hired indentured temporary servants in transition for the preferred permanent African slaves. The old Christian heathen laws had now been reinstituted to isolate the African slaves from all others, based solely on the color of their skin, see religions. From this historical perspective, the Christians and Catholic churches actually became the founding fathers of racial discrimination, or infamous skin game, as it is known today. These were the props and backdrops for the English bourgeois elites who traced their wealth from nearly 2,000 years of plundering sciences, religions, mathematics, astronomy, etc. from Africa. These celebrated talks of stealing Moorish knowledge were commonplace in private clubs, pubs, clubs, and taverns. The widow's son. The Avatar Noble Drew Ali pulled all the secret coverings off this infamous son. The widow's son is a myth made from the minds of Western Freemasonry and cloaked in secrecy. As most lies originate from some degree of truth, or as most jokes are founded upon realities in life. Like so, nearly all the European Masonic rituals, signs, tools, symbols are diluted reflections of African origination. The so-called widow's son is no exception to these fundamental human principles. In Europe, Masonry, the widow's son is descriptive of the Western African God-man whose code name is Hieratic. Hieratic, the widow's son, generally code names are used by secret societies, government officials, military, intelligence, and other worldly thinkers to conceal true identities of operations and agents. Code names are nom de plums, trickled down to the holy poly of used as nicknames, aliases, AKA, and stage names. No matter the social level, deceptive or false identifications are used to hide the correct and proper person, place, or thing. Hieratic, the widow's son, originated from the same European minds which created the names Negro, Blacks, and colored people. The 3/5 clause, blue-eyed Yehoshua, trust in the legal tender of man-made gods, formed from the busts of past presidents and, of course, America's first shitty terrorist, the Ku Klux Klan. Other Masonic offerings include Santa Claus, Humpty Dumpty, U.S. presidents, and the corporate United States of America. The average John and Jane Doe citizens would probably croak from shock if they knew all the illusionist contributions to society which were created or promoted in the lodges of Western Freemasonry. Now, the table has been set for learning the truth about the widow's son. The life of any widow begins with the death of her husband, and she has not remarried. A widow is a respected and unprotected woman. An unprotected woman is a first alert denoting the fall of a nation. See chapter 12, the atrocities of the single mom. Symbolically, the widow is a code word descriptive of a nation in adversity who cannot defend itself or prosper because the government and power has become substandard. Most churches and secret societies collect donations from widow mites to help women who have been widowed. The laws of marriage bonds and raised her from female to woman to support the high station of wife. From there, she was raised to motherhood because she only can create a God in 9 months. Because she alone can create a God in 9 months without the sound of a hammer or nail. Allegedly, Hieratic, the widow's son, Prosperity, has now been compromised with the death of his father. Secretly, her son, code name is Hieratic, but publicly his shallow grave have been clearly marked and accepted as a misnomer Negro, Black, and colored people. Now, if the reader can imagine the widow as a Mexican, Africa, and her son, the God man of the Nile, then you can see why the furthest thing from Willie Lynch, European Mason's mind is the possibility of Hieratic being raised from the constitutional shallow grave, whole and intact, as one nation bearing one free national name. There is no such thing as a perfect or unpunished crime. This holds especially true for the great crime of denationalized slavery and global cover-up of the West African national. There is only one major problem with the seemingly mystical and unsolved crime of this cycle age. The nations of the earth, the nations of Europe have not taken into account the divine order of things. Hence, the great God of their forefathers and the major prophets who will always be sent to make the last first again. Then quietly, after 48 years of extended slavery, enters the savior, Noble Drew Ali, in 1913 with the resurrection of the first Grand Temple in the West. Then the sleeping giants learn there can be no widow while lies the husbandman. What did Noble Drew Ali teach the Moors about the widow's son? The first thing Prophet Noble Drew Ali taught the Moors is actually the very last thing a Mason earns the privilege to know. Who made you? A, Allah. Answer, Allah, the great God. Man is a thought of Allah. All thoughts of Allah are infinite. They are not measured up by time. Man himself is not the body nor the soul. He's a spirit and a part of Allah. So spirit man as a seed of Allah held deep within himself the attributes of every part of Allah. Now seeds are perfect, yea, as perfect as the source from which they came, but they are not unfolded into life made manifest. The child is as perfect as the mother is. So man, the seed must be developed. So man, the seed must be deeply planted in the soil that he may grow, unfold, as does the bud unfolds to show the flower. The human seed that came forth from the heart of Allah was fully ordained to be the Lord of the plane of soul and of the plane of things may manifest. So Allah, the husbandman of everything that is, threw forth his human seed into the soil of soul. It grew apace, and man became a living soul, and he became the Lord of all kingdoms of soul. The science in this lesson to the Moorish children is there can be no widow because Allah, the great God of the universe, is the husbandman. The soil of soul with her actions of thinking, willing, reasoning, understanding, and remembrance is the mother within which Allah planted his spirit man seed. The word man means thinker. Man rises by the elevated degrees of what he thinks. His ladder of salvation has 3 steps: belief, faith, fruition. More Holy Quran 7, 25 to 31. There are the more rapid his thoughts, the more like unto himself as God he becomes. His thought must be developed by the exercise of strength. Man cannot die. The spirit man is one with Allah and lives. Man cannot die. The spirit man is one with Allah and lives. Man cannot die. While the West African slave trade will forever be historical fact. The untold truth is the inhabitants of the African continent has never been without the omnipresence of the great universe creator. In other words, as long as Allah lives, man nor the mother that nourished him can never die. The African continent has always been the mother of the human family. All nations are her daughters, especially those from her northwestern and southwestern shores, who carnal mankind knocked in the head of wisdom and buried in the West. These gods manifest in Africa, became known in the West as the rejected cornerstone. Nevertheless, because the NBC is the most redundant of all people, does not interpret into they have been orphaned or their God man has been widowed. No, not as long as he is spirit and a part of the divine order. Later in this chapter, the reader will come to know that no Negro Mason is free, ancient or accepted. It does not take much brain power to figure if any man no longer have the power to protect his woman, rule over his children, or free national standards for his family cannot be measured on the scale of true men. How can such a being be a Mason or mastermind when he has nothing to claim of his own? The NBC males are simply not a source of freedom because they do not know the truth of self or God. Sadly, they also do not know the only real secret in the world of Western Freemasonry is really they themselves, their free national identity and proper status. Islam, Islam, Islam. I'd like to turn this meeting back over to our Swift Angel number 1, our Swift Angel number 4, Islam. Peace and love.
Islamism, 4 + 1 is 5.
Islam.
Gratitude, grand man. Islamism without the schism. Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Yeah, we had to put that measure on the manifest. You know, man, it's an honor to be here in this new era and time. We give honors to our Grand National Chairman, by the way, because he is the one who has allowed us to come forth, Moors. He have given all of us a platform, you know, to be the voice of our prophet, be the message that we bring, to teach our people, to be heard, you see? And so we can't limit the honors that we give to Act One. You know, we honor all of our Moors who have come forth. Like I said, it's gonna be a mighty demonstration here. We wanted to bring that forth because a lot of what took place with these lessons, as far as the burying, you know, in the cover-up, had to do with those who were Western Freemasons. That includes E. Wallace Budge and a lot of the rest of them, you know, and this is what actually gave them the gall or the audacity, you know, to basically come forth and act as keepers, you know, of secrets when it comes to dealing with what our ancestors brought to the manifest. And I found so much information, you know, in the last few hours, you know, the shadow hours, so to speak, to where it hurt my heart to know that these people hid all this stuff from our people. It's so much to where it's just exhausting, you know, to know that our ancestors wrote this. And I'm gonna get into some of this right here before I go into an exercise and what it is that we want to really bring on the manifest. So we definitely encourage our family to be attentive, because this is the moment we all really been waiting for, to get to the nitty gritty of this demonstration. And we got a lot to uncover, Morris Ken. Let's just put it that way. We got a whole lot to uncover. So without further ado or delay, having already risen, giving praises and honors where honors are due, you know, it's time for us to exercise, you know, the 5 in relation to dealing with the divinity, you know, that's in us. So Gratitude, Morris Ken. So what I'm gonna do, I would like to first go into this aspect before I go anywhere. And we're gonna kind of slide through certain measures because we don't want to tarry too long, but we definitely got a whole measure, should I say a whole bunch of measures to bring to the manifest. Goodness gracious. Okay. So many measures to what a clown face is frowning up here on the background. Oh, where I got to pull my documents up. It's shutting them down, by default, but I can open them back up, so it ain't no problem there. So what I want to do, I want to share my screen. I see the brother has disabled the screen sharing. Can you enable the screen sharing, Brother Torrey Simpson Bay? If you would. Did he say he was going to turn it over into the hands of who he say was giving did he give the control to our Morris Ken?
Dr. Diane Carter Bay.
Okay, Sister Curta Bay, can you allow us to share?
Islam. I know he wanted me to close out. Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay. It's saying the host has disabled the sharing. He didn't make me the host, y'all.
Let me reach out to this brother.
Yeah, because he still got him and he is the host.
I'm giving him a call too.
Yeah.
He tell me you need to share, he need to share the screen.
You good, family? You good?
Oh, here he is.
There you go.
You're good.
Islam. Yeah, gratitude. All right. It says you cannot start screen sharing while another participant. Who is that sharing now?
I accidentally hit it. I apologize. Islam.
Okay, Islam. Gratitude, goddess and queen. Praise be to Allah. Islamism. Well, all right. So what we want to show our Moorish kin is I got a slew of papyri up here. Goodness gracious. I got so much I can't even put them all up here because it's giving the frown face on some of them. Let me hit one and show y'all what I'm talking about when I say see that frown face right there? So much in here to where it's, I guess, dealing with some of the data. But what I do, I can hit this little button right here and it wake them back up. That's a grand demonstration. So praise be to Allah. But when I tell you, I got way more than this right here. This is a shame that these people that went here and buried this much of stuff. Remember how I told y'all, and I keep telling our family that everything was written in alphabetical script. And it wasn't written, in the pictorial script. This was their way of transcribing. We talked about the so-called literary text that they like to give it, some of them anyway. This is the book of Sinu, right? Sinu Hay. And I'm gonna show you some things in here. We ain't gonna get into the aspects of trying to get into the book itself, but I want to show you all this papyri, family. And what was done side by side. I love this side by side comparison right here too, by the way. Let me get this here. I'm gonna try to minimize. Hold up, come on now. Let me minimize this here real quick so it don't get in our way. So yeah, look at this Moorish king. Goodness gracious. This is a prime example of what I'm talking about right here. When we say Rome, you see it don't let you stretch like that. So in order for me to do that, I got to escape and then I can stretch it out. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, but look at all of this papyri. We done seen this before. I showed this to our family before, but this proves that for every so-called hieroglyphic text out there, see, there you go, where they put it together at, right? This is what the people talking about they out here reading now. But it comes from this. You see what I'm saying? It comes from this. So they basically, again, use these symbols to bury the text. So you go around and you trying to find the meaning of this, and they'll tell you some of this stuff right here, even when it comes to hieroglyphics, still ain't been deciphered yet. And some of it ain't been translated. You ask me, none of it was deciphered. You see? Now this particular demonstration in this is for those, this is a bonus for those who think that we don't know how this is supposed to go the way they try to bring it on the manifest. You know, when you look in this particular direction here, this is supposed to be showing, you know, the direction in which this measure is being read from. But remember, in all cases, you read hieratic from right to left. In fact, if you see letters like you see them stacked on top of each other, sometimes that's dealing with a bilateral letter or a trilateral letter, so to speak. But nevertheless, if you are reading from right to left and you see one stacked on top of another, then you read the top one first and then read the bottom. Because it's still really, if you were to look at it, you're still really reading from right to left. Even if you were to place, for example, you're dealing with north, south, east, and west, the east would be to your right. But if you turn that demonstration left, you know, you still will be reading from right to left, but you're reading from the top to the bottom. But you will not ever read this script from this direction, from left to right. So when you see these so-called pictures, they would tell you these pictures represent the direction that this, as they like to call it, supposed to have been a language you're supposed to read from this direction. You know, so we can see the S there, we can see the letter R there, you know, we see some determinatives there, we see the letter Y there. I'm just speaking of what's hidden behind it in the text over here. That's why I say, well, you can use these as markers, but please do not confuse them with being the language. That's Netra right there. You know what I mean? Twisted flax. I mean, that's B to them. You know, that's R. That's supposed to be a letter I or Y. You know, we can just go through here. This lets you know if we want to, we can read the way they read, but we trying to convert this in which they done come up with back into this, because this is what definition should be beside. And we're going to show you an easy way on how to do that. We got some help, family. We got some digital help. So you fret not. Only thing is we have to write, you know, with clarity, so to speak. And so the thing is really exercising our art hand. And I think that'll be something good too for our Moorish kin to get involved in practicing writing the script. It's also a special type of pen that you really need to do it, but I'm pretty sure that we can make what we have work. So look at this. For every particular text here, you can see it's a lot missing on this one here. You know, so they had to do a little guesswork, you know, and there you go there, all up down here. Look at here. Now this is more of a full measure here, still a little bit missing, but for every so-called pictorial text, you got this. You see, this is for all of the naysayers that say, Brother Shaheed, crazy. This is what you're supposed to be reading. One brother told me he didn't even know what he was looking at. You know, he didn't even know what I say, read it, brother. You know, because he was trying to challenge me. I read what he wanted me to read, you know, just to oblige him, so to speak, make him feel, you know, grand, you know, but when it come down to dealing with this, he couldn't read it. So now look at all of these texts. I'm just going through here. It's just one now. It's just one. This is one. And we can go all the way to the bottom on this particular one. Now, do you see the change in the screen, family? Did you see me just change to another text?
Islam.
We saw
Islam.
What's on the screen? Do it say fastest smile Egyptian hieratic papyrus?
Islam.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, so this is another one here. This is a totally different papyri here. As you already seen, I scroll back up top. But look at this. They don't even have, you know, any other script in there. But there's some clarity in this demonstration. You definitely can see that letter. Whoever the scribe was that wrote that, they was on their job. They got it so neat and separated and everything, you know. So we're gonna get into some detail in a minute. I just want to show our Moorish king all this papyri now that these people got had. Look at all that. Look. And I can tell this right here is relative to, you know, I see some numbers in there in that particular papyri right there. Definitely dealing with some numbers. This is regular language, regular papyri. That's papyri. You know, they got some little pictorial expressions up in there. This is papyri. Goodness gracious. Didn't I tell you it's overwhelming. Them numbers there. Them numbers with words on the side of them. Okay. We'll get to all of that later when it comes to the number. All right, don't you frown on me right now. All right. So, yeah, this is what we see here. And this is Birch's work. For those who don't know, Birch was another scholar. You will see our brother Mustafa Gadala speak on him along with the rest of them. Boy, he was whooping them. You know, and yeah, you can see it all up in here. This is all hieratic, herein KEMET. You know, that's the end of it. I'm gonna go to the next one. Like I said, you see them all up there. They lined up. There's so many of them up here. Here's another one. This particular piece of work, and it's actually in another language. So we just really trying to use it so you can see the papyri itself. You know, this is actually in German. It ain't really necessary to go into that measure, so to speak, but just to show you again, more papyri. And you see every time they put some so-called pictorial glyphs up there, they got the papyri over here where they were piecing things together. And sometimes they filled in those areas that you see that they didn't have enough, as we already know. I'm talking about, man, there's so much information out here. I tell you like this. This is definitely indicative of what the Moors inherited their special talent for record keeping, because just like we kept, you know, our ancestors or those who came before us kept a lot of the records of the prophet, and you can find them all the way now, the photos and everything. You can see everything that the Kemites had. You know, and I ain't talking about just the few that you done heard of. I'm talking about stuff you ain't never heard of. Now, one site that we had, they done hid that site that had all the books, but I found another one. You know, so I just downloaded a few of them directly because I didn't like what they had going on in the ads. And this is another one. This is another one, which is also in German. But you can see it's a little more primitive on here. These are actually copies. When you see this a lot of time, these are copies of actual papyri. You know, they have Xerox copied them, and that's why it kind of, yeah, where you can see the different signs. This is Gardenia's list. These numbers you can see. They mix a lot of time Mola and Gardenia stuff. Here's some more. You know, there is some clarity in it though. You can see them. So these are very good charts for the Moors to be able to study, you know, learning the letters. And the way you learn those letters again are by really, you know, focusing on them one by one. You know, you can also write them like some of our Moorish kin do. Our brother Gary Miles Bay and Sister Curta Bay, and our Grand National Secretary of the State, most of our Moors, they write. This is another one here. Also, because they actually had like 4 or 5 sets. So I just downloaded maybe 1 or 2. I didn't download the whole of them. Look at all this hieratic paper. Why is everybody talking about they dealing with ancient Kemet? And we ain't heard not a nair, a one scholar teach on this. Look at that letter S just jumping out right there. You see, they go to letter M and R. See, that's a bilateral right there. That's M and R right there. That's the letter R, letter R, letter R. I mean, I can just see certain things jumping out at me just as we going through here. But this is ridiculous. All of this stuff right here done been hid for years from our people. And this is what I'm saying. They have you chasing symbols, you know, when you should be dealing with this. So now we got to go back through the process of reconverting this language back into what it is, you know, and it ain't gonna be hard. Like I say, because I got some tools, I'm finna show them to you in a minute. Here's a very clear one here. This one here is, I'm finna show you the significance of some of this paper. This is actually a ritual paper, you know, because some of this stuff had to do with rituals of healing the self and everything. We're gonna get into that. See, that's the thing about our ancestors. Not only did they take you to the their own particular healing measure of healing you with the herbs, but they also used Heka, you know, to heal as well, because they felt like if you had an ailment, it wasn't just, you know, physical, that there was something spiritual, you know, a spiritual blockage. You know, like I was talking last night, dealing with that geometry, that sacred geometry. So you can see a lot of these very well here, very well. So I know the Muslims gonna have fun going through a lot of this stuff once I start sending it out. So we're gonna definitely send a lot of this out to the Moors once we get done. Look at all of this. This is like a wealth of information. It made me say, man, this is how we have to preserve our history the same way. Because if we don't, you know, because a lot of people don't know, in all actuality, the knowledge that went with somebody that they didn't get a chance to share, you know, that's the greatest loss that we could have ever had as a people. We can't take none of this stuff with us. We have to leave, you know, this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding behind to our family. You see? And that's why we know, in all actuality, the graveyard is the most wealthiest place of being that it is, because it's a lot of unknown knowledge that's actually there. And I can see a lot of this stuff right here, just straight up. I see a whole lot going on here with a lot of the letters. And this is just through us going through what we went through. I can see many letters here, and I know our Moorish kin can probably see some things jump out them at them too. And we're gonna give our family a chance to look at a few things in a little bit. But this is just ridiculous here. This is all of this here. This is papyri. Hieratic now. This is all hieratic papyri from many different plates. You don't even see the other stuff. In fact, you know, I've come across sources that even say that all the ancient Egyptians knew some of them was hieratic, and some of them didn't even know what hieroglyphics are. So what that tell you? Because this was the common language that they was writing in. We can see that right now here. Documents all over the place. And like I say, this ain't the only ones, it's more. Oh yeah, this particular one here is also written, you know, in a different language, but this is in the Brooklyn Museum. This is the Brooklyn papyrus, the papyrus of Brooklyn. See it down at the bottom. Yeah, so this is another one. Like I told you, now look, notice they got the so-called hieroglyphics up under here. And I told you that's what they're doing. You can see it. So they were taking these measures, putting them in this form here. Because what you got to remember is most of the time, pictorial script have never really been written, on papyri like that, except in the little cursive hieroglyphic form. Most of this stuff is on monuments, but most of the texts that you find are all written in Hieratic. So they had to transcribe, this text into these different symbols. And remember, those who were in the old kingdom wasn't dealing with no more than about 700. And then 7,000 was added later by the Ptolemies. So you got to know whether you even reading that which is of the Ptolemies, are you trying to deal with the metaphysics of the natives? So look at that. I mean, this is just overkill on how much of this has been preserved. Let me open this up here. And all of these are different papyri. This is one here from the University of Chicago. And this is dealing with the Edwin Smith surgical papyrus. See, this type of stuff I want to emphasize some things on, talk about. Now, in these surgical papyri, man, they talking about everything from, dealing with heart disease and the cures, and I mean, all the way down to diabetes and all types of stuff the ancient Egyptian was on. And they like to tell you that the Egyptians didn't have no science in them. They done lost their mind. You see? Look at this, the beginning of the secret book of the physician. And they say, further than this, we cannot carry the restoration of the lost beginning. And then they go to talking about what they was able to try to, go through. But look at all this here. Let me scroll it down a little bit more so you can see this here. Look at that. Look at all of this stuff. There they go again. They're going to put their little pictures up there. Like I said, all they did is use those as markers, created, these, this so-called made up alphabet, and you use these signs as markers, to try to identify with what it is that they were looking at. And, Bud state this in his work. Look at all of it. Like I say, we just going over these things. We done seen some of this stuff, but we had no idea. I know I didn't. I thought we could get a few of them, but I didn't know they had this much Moorish kin. You can also see the difference in the style of the writing too, by the way, on some of these things. Some are more pronounced. You can see this is more jumbled together, but I can still see letters jumping out of here. I can see the F right there. I can see the M and R right there. I can see the letter M. I can see the letter N. I can see the letter T or D there. I see the letter A right here. I can see these things. Like I say, they jumping out because, the eye is trained somewhat to be able to see these things. So, and I know our Moorish kin, like I say, they can see the same thing. So this goes all the way. Now, this is a surgical papyri now. This ain't the only surgical papyri now. So this lets you know that the Egyptians was definitely about health and the wealth of the self, so to speak. Here's some more down here. More papyri. This is just, like I said, this is just goodness gracious. All these plates that they have sat down and took their time to transcribe, that means they were dedicated to burying, our people. See, they go that letter G right there we always talk about. This right here is the letter I, Y, sometimes J. We see that as well. We can see it all up in here. Let's go down. All right. So yeah, let's go to the next paper. What's understood need not be explained. We already see what's going on here. We just want to show our family the extent that one has went through. That was another copy of it right there. I must have downloaded it twice. Okay. So this is what I want to get into now that we are familiar with this. This is actually an English version of a portion of what I sent out to the Moors before that was in German, dealing with the hieratic script where it shows all the different alphabets, and then it shows some of what they like to call determinatives, or what we refer to as indicators. This is actually one here. And if you notice, there are numbers. The Unicode is in here, which is very helpful with the numbers or whatever, because they take you directly to certain measures. And we're going to show you how we get definitions out of these particular things here, because they don't have definitions here. All they have is the symbols. But I'm going to show you how you come up with the definition. You know, let's go again a little further. And all the way to the end, the same thing. You can see a different style of writing here too. So this will allow us too to be able to identify by looking at this different papyri breakdown of the hieratic. You know, we can also find, look at all those symbols. This actually have more symbols than the other look like it too, to a certain degree. So we can look at all of these particular symbols here. Look at all them A's right there. You won't have to worry about looking for no A's after this right here. Yeah. Goodness gracious, we already know this is dealing with what is called cursive hieroglyphs, you know, in most cases, but this is more of the hieratic A right here. They always try to depict it in this bird form. That's the cursive. This bird don't look nothing like that. See, that's the cursive hieroglyph. We see what's going on there. Okay, so yeah, this is basically the same thing you already have. The numbers in this are key though, like I said. You can use these numbers in, like we're gonna get ready to demonstrate in a second. Let's see here. Okay, here's another one, and this one is from Moeller here. This is another one from Moeller. You got a little English, I think, explanation in here. Yeah, it does. So where you didn't have really any English, you can go into the English here, which is the same thing we just went over. But again, you can see certain things they emphasized on here. Same thing, so we don't have to go over that one. Let me open this one up. This is key right here. This is very key, because this is a whole catalog here of the hieratic paleography. And this goes along with them same signs and symbols you seen there. You see? Glyph for glyph, basically. You see the Unicode here. So this is key. Now the thing about this though, is something that you have here that you don't see in the others, is that you can actually see the transliteration of these particular demonstrations here, right? And it's all up through here. They got them on both sides. They got the trilaterals and the bilaterals. You know, see the Unicode, the M for Moeller. You know, some of them may show up in the way that I'm getting ready to show you, and some of them you will have to go and probably go to some of the dictionaries and other sources to find them. But most that I pulled up, and I'm finna show you, I'm gonna deal with this particular measure here in a second. But I just want to show you a few more drawings here. This is the same chart. This is the one that you already have. You already have this one. That's the same chart we went through. You can see it, same numbers, but they actually have like 4, 5, 6 different charts with all the other signs. And that makes sense being that you got around about 7,000 signs. But a good thing that we have the actual alphabet, even though it's in sound shifting order and not in the direct order it should be, it's good that we have at least the alphabets there. So here's another one that's actually tapping into all the signs and the symbols as well. They actually have even better clarity here, as you can see it on the side, the numbers of the Unicode that you can use, which I'm gonna show you how to use that in a minute. We're gonna go into this one though. This one is a more modern demonstration here that was put together dealing with the writing of a skillful scribe, an introduction in the Hieratic, Middle Egyptian through the text of the shipwrecked sailor. This is a very popular measure that people have went into and started on. So this is one that we definitely want our Moorish kin to look into as well, because it has a breakdown, a concise breakdown of this particular measure. You see, they got their little so-called pictorial demonstration. They're actually showing also, you know, how to say and state certain things. It's showing you, you know, what sound shifting properties are in it. Okay, and it goes into the classification of some of these glyphs, you know, which, you know, there they go again, comparing these pictures to these symbols or whatever. Like I said, it's easy to find this type of stuff when you only have a limitation of so many symbols. If you got a whole bunch of 7,000 glyphs, I'm pretty sure you can find something that might look like, you know, the 24 or the 28 alphabets that you adopt. You know what I mean? And some of this stuff they can get away with now, because it sounds so convincing, right? But is that in fact the way the ancient Egyptians demonstrated? That's the key. See, this is the bilateral expression for water. You know, we can go with that right there. You know, but here we have here, this is a symbol of dealing with the arm. I guess if you reach, they tried to make that this, you know, so we can see what these expressions are. They actually referring to actual things. See, they even put this measure here with nature and then compared it to this. Remember, some of these things go back to cursive hieroglyphs as well. So here's a good concise chart as well on the sound shifting. It's not in abjad order. They'll never put, you know, these particular ones here. We had some others that we got the abjad order, but a lot of time this is the basic measure they got. See it here? The letter A, which this is often seen as the demotic A. And this is the actual A right here in hieratic. This is the cursive hieroglyph A. I guess people you know, choose to write with both of them sometime, but here you have the feather, that's the I. Also the Y, you know, Ein, A, W, B, you know, so you see all that right there. So you can use this chart to your advantage too. Most definitely use this chart here. Like I said, we're gonna send all this out. Hold up. You see also trilaterals here. That's 3 letters. And these particular marks represent them. So them gonna be the things that it take our people a little time to learn. But nevertheless, when you pull a text out and you start going through them, you can always go back and look them up and look for them because they're easy to find. And I'm gonna show you how to find them easy. So here's another measure here, dealing with the breakdown on the words. They actually had a definition, you know, of what it is, what it represents. So this is a papyri, like I said, not papyri, but a piece of measure to give to our Moorish kin, most definitely for deep study, because you can see how the clearness and the clarity is on this right here. One should be able to identify. You know, it's 348 pages right here. It's a lot, Moors. It is a lot. Well, you can see I got a lot of papyri up here. Let me go to the next measure right here. This is called the tale of the two brothers. This is also another measure that was broke down as well. You can see this looks, even though this is hieratic, it reminds me of what is called Senzar, which is often said to be a name of the original language as well. And I want to say this particular measure here is from 1906, but they did good to bring a lot of this back. You know, all this is hieratic here. But when you get down into this area here, you start seeing the pictorial script that they put on the side of that. And then you have certain breakdowns on the lines here, you know, with the letters and everything in it. So it's definitely gonna take, you know, a little time to sift through these things. Let's see what this one here is, because we got some more papyri that's dealing with the reality of certain measures. Okay. Okay, it's a couple of these. Now, this is dealing with the records of a building project. This is actually talking about some of the monuments that were built, you know, by Sesostris the First. There are many different monuments that were built, but they actually have, you know, everything in here in regards to dealing with their measurements, their math, and all of that right there. So you mean to tell me that our people wasn't no master builders, they wasn't no, you know, knowledgeable individual? Look at this. Look at the papyri. These are basically blueprints and plans, family. Now, people make thousands of dollars dealing with blueprints and plans in the United States in this new era in time. Our ancestors left the blueprint. When they say you left the blue, it literally means they left the blueprint. This is another papyri. You hear the brother Mustafa Gadala refer to the Rhine mathematical papyri. A lot of this has to do with the math of ancient Kemet. These are math lessons and math teachings that they taught upon, and we know that they were definitely sharp on math because of some of the monuments they built in the preciseness that even modern day math, with that, the European can't really fathom how the Kemites were able to do this. This is a wealth of information, family. Look at this. And it just goes on, on, on and on and on. So we see the surgical papyri. We see the math papyri. Our people was a real thriving culture. You know, they expound a little bit on some of this stuff in here. The accurate reckoning of entering into things, knowledge of existing things, all mysteries, seekers of all. So a lot of their math was based in looking into creation. In fact, I showed our family the root of the word knowledge, which means to know, has to do with going into the knowledge of the hidden things. When you go into what is called the olam or the olama, and which is known as the ilm in Arabic, the olam in Hebrew, you know, it has to do with going into the beginning. So this knowledge is rooted also in what we call alchemy. You know, what they call science now was called alchemy. You see? That's where the word come from, alchemy. So yeah, it's 287 pages. And it go like this right here all the way to the end. 2 divided by 25. Man, 2 divided by 37. So yeah, all of this is mathematics. This is actually, I think, just another section of the Rhine papyri as well, because it's more than one document. See all that hieratic, and then you see their little replacements. And I think this may be the last one here. I got a couple of them. I got the Westcar papyri. I got a couple of papyri that we can deal with, but look at all of this. It's a shame that none of our so-called Egyptologists have no knowledge. This is another expression on the Edwin papyri, actually showing the actual papyri. You see, they put it together again. You can see Demotic script in here. So when I tell you that everything was transliterated from Demotic, Coptic, and Hieratic, now you see this is indeed fact. Many of our Moorish kin already knew, but I mean, what more is there to show after all of this right here? Goodness gracious. Just all over the place. What I want to know again is why these so-called Egyptologists are not teaching this since they know so much. That's what I want to know. So let me get back over here now and get into some hands-on back to this document here. Show you what we have. We have a navigation tool, family. Okay, let me open that back up again. They say it's too much up here. We got to close it down. All right. So let me scroll back up here to the top. We finna get into some measures here. And I'm gonna show you with this particular text on how you will find definitions, because I actually have another thing to open up too in another page. Get down here. Is that the first page? That's the first. That's the stroke. Okay. We'll start right here because we know this is where we at. Okay, so the thing that we want to do, now some of these things we're gonna be able to find, some we ain't. Did you just see my screen change right there, family?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so you now see some of the little strips of molars demonstration with the hieroglyph numbers and words. So this is what is called the Hieratic, as they call it, and we know this is written in German. Paleography DB. You're gonna have to install this. It ain't nothing, you just install it. You type it in, you can actually install it. You'll see it when it pull up, you'll know what it is. So what happens is, when you come here, it helps you, it's easier for us to find a thing. For example, if I wanted to find this is what we own now, this is the Unicode. Now I can easily click that Unicode, you know, and it's already got everything in relation to it, so I ain't got to do that. But this is also the word up under it. I just click the word that's there. You see the letters there, N-I-N-S, right? Now hit search after you click the word, wait for a few minutes, sometime it take a time to load up, you know, and it bring you right back here, right? To the same area. I'm just showing you how to navigate with this demonstration. Now see this here, you always hear me talk about the dua, you know, which is often referred to as the heavenly skies or the star constellations. This is the dua. Click on that, watch what come up. See the stars coming up? So now you can basically go anywhere, you know, in the realm of a lot of the stuff as far as dealing with the Hieratic and that you found in that molar document that I sent to you. You can go and pretty much find anything that's there. And I'm gonna show you how you find the definitions and how this stuff all makes sense. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna go over here to these dictionaries that I have. For example, and we demonstrated this last week. You see here it says, okay, you got G1. Now we can search through our tool G1. It may have it, it may not have G1 here, you know, depending on what all has been uploaded in the system. Okay, it looked like we got some G1. All right, so we see G1 here, right? They got 192 and everything else up in there and all that, right? This is all the information that's connected to, you know, this string of these A's right here. You see all them A's right there too. It got a whole bunch of them. So when you now look for different aspects of the A, you ain't got to look all over the place. You got a whole bunch of them right here in different expressions in different forms together, mixed, you know, with bilaterals and everything. But the key is, now that we have this here and we dealing with like we tapped on the G1, when we go back over here to our expression here, G1, again, that's the symbol. You see it that they have up here, but we are transcribing this back into the letter because we already know the letter is right here. You see, not that one. That's the actual cursive, but right here. So this is it right here. And even if you see a symbol like this right here, you already know it's still dealing with 8. So the key is now we have a definition for the letter A. You know, once we can tie into this, I'm gonna show you how we got a definition for it. These are just alphabets here. So, you know, this is just the letter A, and then they talking about Aleph, Yod. That's the way they pronouncing it. That's more of what they like to call the Hebrew. Now let's try M17 and see what comes up. Let's go back up here again. Unicode M17. Let's see. Okay. There we go. You see it pops up here. So you see all the different forms of this letter I, which is also J. You also see 2519. So there's a connection with these other numbers that are here. So feel free to check them out too when you go into these, when you use the tool. So you got every possible expression. You can see them. So you can see all these forms. The ones ain't got to be confused no more. Like I said, look at that. And it just goes on and on and on. And then they go to show some words that's made up with that same alphabet. So, and everything is right here. And not to mention, remember now, this is your letter. It's telling you what your letter is. You can click on that right there, and it'll take you to some other areas as well in relation to the measure. But this is more getting into the realm of what they like to call determinatives. We call them indicators. But yeah, you just scroll down through their family, and you can see it all here. The I. That actually will help one as well become more familiar with these things. Okay, let's go here. We already see the M17. You know, let me see if they put Z4 in here. Let's see. But like I say, some of them you have to go and look for. Oh yeah, they got Z4 in here. Z4 and D21. Okay. Let's see. Go back over here. Oh yeah, I can see the connection that they're trying to make. Yeah, so basically, family, I mean, they got them up here. It don't get no plainer than that, you know. But on a greater scale, as we scroll down in this document, now let's go into certain measures here. For example, we had the G1, you know, in this particular drawing, we can actually use this same number to navigate through other dictionaries. Wallace Budge a little shaky, but you don't really need, you know, the codes in order. Once you find the root of the word, you can just look at the A group or whatever, and you'll find what you're looking for. You know, so when you come here and you're dealing with these particular letters here, you can see the connection. See, it starts at the root M17, so we know all those is the letter I. And then you go to, you know, the next group of alphabets, and then they come into, you know, like, see the double I, it's M18 part itself. See? And they saying this is a symbol of come, to return. Let's go look at the symbol here. And then they have a breakdown on it. So you would transcribe these letters back into the original alphabet as opposed to the symbols. It should be real alphabets on the sides of this, not pictures. You see, that's what we're gonna do when it comes to putting things back together. So the transliteration will be beside the proper text. And we can see all of this connection here. So there's another dictionary here too that gives you a little more detail in some of these particular words here. Remember, it gives you the root, and this is mostly dealing with a lot of the expressions of the Gardenia list. We actually went through some of this last time we was on here. Let me see, can I get a C2 out of this? Okay. Let's see if C2 is available. Nope, don't look like C2 is available there. But that's all good and well because we still can go to a text or the book and still link those things up. Let me go back and see what else we can find. Let me see if C10 is available. Let me make sure it didn't. Let's do this here. I'm gonna reset it real quick. Let's see. I'm gonna try to see if we got C10, if we can put up, like I say, there we go, C10 came up. Okay, so the symbol for C10, and this is actually, is that Ma'at? Yeah, that's Ma'at right there. Yeah, see it? That's Ma'at right there. So let's go see what the dictionary got to say. Oh, yeah, that's Ma'at. That's Ma'at. So this is the method we will utilize to identify, you know, what we're looking at. And then we would take that demonstration and take it back to its actual alphabet, so to speak. You see? So this is what we're getting at right here. That's what we want to be able to do. There are many more. And they really didn't have a whole lot in here, but just that one definition. So we really barely found my art, but there are many more. Let me see what they pull up when they say C14. I'm gonna just do that, just pick a number. Anything come up? Nope. Let's see this here, C12. Okay, so C12, what came up with C12? Okay, this is Amen. See, that's Amen. Amen. Right there. See him with the plume headdress on, right? This is the actual letter here. So let us go back to the C14. They don't have it on this list right here. Let me see if they got it over here in this one. I'm just going through the letters now to see if I can find Amen in here. Okay, I'm with B. Okay. F, M. Okay, N should be coming up after this. Okay, Ami. Okay. Come on, where you at? Okay. X. There we go. Amun. Okay, M17. Okay, so this gonna be on the Morla and Gardenia's list. So that may be somebody else's code. M17. It says Wi-Fi. Well, no, this is Amun here. So it's still connected to that one too, but it's G7 on it. So let me go back over here and see if there's a connection somewhere up in here. That says 2 and 26. It says 74 over here. But it says C12 here. Let me see here. That's a connection to the name. I see what it is. This is what they call in the determinative. So this ain't the actual spelling of the name. This is the actual spelling of the name. But the spelling of this name should still connect in some way. Let me see, 26 and 2 again.
Islam?
Islam, grand man.
Yeah, I was looking on there, and so they say something about phonetic word or something.
You said who that?
Phonetic.
You was looking
Man.
on where were you looking at?
I was looking on when you was showing it earlier, and it had it up top of
Talking about this
phonetic.
in this dictionary? Are you talking about down here?
Well, it might have been early altogether. I saw that it says, because the reason why I said that, because it was like a transliteration, but then it was considered a phonetic version of it. That's why I was.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, phonetic just dealing with the sound on sound.
Right.
Not. But what I'm saying is, when we go in here, I'm just showing you some of these things are in this particular measure here. But like I said, I see what's going on with this. This is actually showing the determinative, you know, for Amen, right? But this other measure here is actually the word for it. You see what I'm saying? I may be able to find it in here too. Let me see. I don't know if they got it all in order, but this is one of the most extensive. And a lot of this right here matches directly up, you know, with what's already in there in that molar. Let me see something, for example. But these are different sources, but they all some way. The dictionary has the actual memo on the side of them where they connect to a lot of these words. I'm gonna see something real quick and see if it has this in the system, the U28. You know, U28. And this actually has to do with who put some of this stuff in here, because I can imagine how tiresome it was to try to put this stuff in here and how long one had to be working. Okay, so that's U28 right there. This is a symbol for U28. Let's go back over here. Yep, see it? You see it?
Yes, sir.
That symbol right there. Now let's go back. See what I'm saying?
Right, right.
Now it's connected. So I guess give or take, in certain areas, you will find what you're looking for in certain areas, depending on if they uploaded that stuff up in here. Because it is a lot. You got to give it a chance to load up sometime too. See that? It's showing all the words that have that same letter in it.
Right, right.
All the way down here. You can see the alphabet. You can see that's a whole nother measure there. Okay, so let me do this here. Let me hit reset. That's what you do too to keep it stable. Seems like it's better to hit the reset button. And you can type in all these other areas, but I see more results when I hit this area here. I'm pretty sure I can do the same thing if I hit it here. It'll pull them up as well. But let me try, I think that's 06. Yeah, that's the letter O and 6. Let me see if I can get some out of that if they put that in here. O and 6. Okay, let me hit search. Okay, look like something down there. Okay, so that's the O and the 6. And that's heart, a haut. Let me see here. Let me go back over here. Yep, there you go. See what I'm saying?
Right.
And it has the numbers down here, 144. Let's go up in there and see if we can find them numbers there. Okay, we see the 1 right there. There's so many in here connected to it though. Yeah, so they go to 4 right there. Yeah, they go to 4 right there on 13. So yeah, this thing is definitely a lot helpful. I'm gonna try 04 and see what's here. Well, let me try Y5, because Y5 is a different measure. I want to see how far they went Let's see, Wi-Fi. So you see what's going on. You're getting your definitions to your words.
Right.
And you know, the letters basically. Here again, this is another measure dealing with, look like an expression of Iman. And actually this probably connect to, yep, it do. This connect to the other words that I remember I was looking for.
Right.
I told you one was the determinative and one was the word. See the
Yes, sir.
connection, M17, Wi-Fi, N35, G7. That's what I
Okay.
seen over here. Where is that? Where you at, buddy? You got to find that. Oh no, I had it here. Oh, I know where it's at. My bad. It's actually over here.
Mm.
Here we go. Okay, yeah. So when we come down here, there it go right there. M17, Wi-Fi, N35, G7, Amen, spelled out. So see, it still came back round. And there it is right there. See it? And this is the actual measure in the alphabet. So this Unicode is definitely, it's trustworthy. You know, going back, it makes it easier to find, don't you think, brother?
Yes, sir.
You know, and then let me see, we can go back to, like I said, we can go to some of these if they put those words in here. You
That's
know,
that
we
other
can
one.
actually see the definition and connect it to the word. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
You know, and so that's how you will find the definition to a lot of the things where you see no definition. By simply linking them up with the Unicode. For example, we see here remit, which deals with man or men or mankind, right? This is also a name that they use for Asiatic too. But let's see, D21. Let's see what happens when we pull that up. Because all you really have to do is pull one of them up. And if you pull that one up, you can also pull up another. Yes, okay. So that's D21. That's her, heru, that's the root. I see a man here. See it getting close here. That's D21 too. Okay, D21, D21, it's all dealing with Ren. That's Ren. I'm familiar with Ren being men. There it go right there. Remet. Yeah, you see it? See the root? It's so, and it actually goes to the exact expression in this one as well. So yeah. So this is what we will utilize, like I said, to pull certain measures to the manifest. And this is I think is an interesting task personally, you know, for us to be able to do this right here. And one can most definitely become sharper, you know, in the language just by demonstrating in this a special way.
So Islam?
You know? Go ahead, brother. There it is again.
Yeah, I had stepped. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I was just finna say in this other dictionary, you can see also the connection here in the A1, the B1, and the Z2. Remit, still here, people, mankind, humanity. Like I say, Asiatic mean earthbound. So this is it right here. Like I say, I got the definition in relation to dealing with that. Hold up. Go ahead, brother. While you speaking, I'm gonna pull this measure up.
Okay, yeah, I had stopped at the room for a second, and you was talking about downloading something, app something.
Yeah, it's that app what I was showing you that I'm using.
Paleograph thing.
Yeah, it's this right here. See the name of it right there?
Yeah, Hieratic. Paleograph.
It's the same name of the pepper that I sent out to the Moors not long ago.
Okay.
Let's see.
Come on.
Let's see something here. I ain't tried the letter yet. I'm gonna see what happens when we type the letter in. Let's see here.
M and R.
Yeah, I just seen it over there.
Mhm.
Let's see. There we go. Oh, I had to type it in lowercase.
Right,
Okay.
right.
So we always see this right here too with the M and R. You know, so this is M and R, the root to the more word here.
So in other words, that M and R is actually a bilateral.
Well, yeah,
You
but
got
they
the-
got three of them. One of them is actually, well, it's like two different bilateral. They got different symbols. See right here, like this is a symbol of one here. And that's one symbol. That's
Right.
what I'm getting at. Then they got this one here. Then it's one more. Let me see if they got it in here. It's another symbol. That's still the same one. This one right here, which is dealing with the pyramid. See what I'm saying? Mirror. This is where the name Tamaray come from.
Okay.
Also love and all that right there. So you can tell the difference. One mean overseer, one deal with love, and the other deal with more. This is also the M and R here.
That's when you were showing.
Bilateral, the one I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
We see that one a lot. So they all connected to each other. So when one try to tell you that they're not connected to each other, we done debunk that lie right here. See what I'm saying? See, that's what I be talking about. They hate the Moors that much.
Right. The more don't be playing. More be digging.
Yeah, they don't do nothing but make it harder because they know I'm gonna find it.
Right.
You know, so goodness gracious. You know, so oh man. And here's that word nis that we've been seeing too. Remember the word nis when we first started going through the thing?
Yes.
It simply deals with the mathematics. It deals with divide. So we now know what that means.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
This is a beautiful demonstration. They ain't teaching it like this, and we ain't even worried about. Notice how we just segue it on through it. We ain't paying no attention to the symbols really.
Right.
We focus strictly on the alphabet. Because we know we done been lied to. So let me go right here. This is how they, you know, they be talking about, yeah, you be making that stuff. They be saying I'm making stuff up, right? Let me see something here. Let's see. I want to show you more of something real quick. And this is without even going into the language now. This is why I say etymology is key. So I'm going to go right here and I'm going to find that measure that I'm looking for. Just give me 1 second here. Well, yeah, I'm almost on it right here. There you go. That's what I'm looking for right there. And see it right here? When they connect them all together, seated man and woman, they talking about plural strokes, people in their occupation. So this is the section that you find it in Gardenia's list, people in their occupations. That's where you have, and this is Remet, people. Then this is also connected to what? Asiatics, right? They also have here what they call metru, which is witnesses. You see a metru, right? Now, if you go into the information here, it all makes sense. And this is what's actually proven that everything with one are called Asia together. See, this is a whole map right here, family. Now, for those who don't know, I know we don't know all these other languages and all that right there. But this Europe pars, America pars, and when you get down here using that terminology, this is basically saying that these are portions or parts of the same one map. This is basically one map that represented Asia.
Okay.
See all the continents together?
Right.
Yeah, some people, we call it Pangaea, and you see China all in there, India, Persia. You see what I'm saying? Because the further you go east, you come back west. That's common sense. You know what I mean? Because you make a circle, right?
Right.
You know, and the further west you go east.
Yeah.
So that's why America is over here instead of on this side. You got me?
Yes, sir.
So this is Europe, obviously. You know, Africa is all up in there as well. See it right here, AFRIC. Now, you know, that's what I be talking about now. I just got the eye to be able to see it. But if I wasn't thinking about calligraphy, I wouldn't be able to see Africa. And somehow people still like, what are he talking about? That's the A, that's the F, that's the R, that's the I, and that's the C. You know what I mean? So now when we come over here, this is the same map. See, this is America over here. This is Asia. You know, they use the term Asia Minor, but this is a whole ancient map, an older map, but it's the same thing. And so when you come back, now this makes sense. So I said maps in reference to the supercontinent Asia. In Asia, now this is without the language going into the Unicode and all that right there now. You know, that's why I'm telling you etymology alone is enough to be able to prove this stuff. In process of time, as Eusebius, the historian, informs us, a colony of Asiatic Cushites settled in that part of Africa, which has since been called Ethiopia proper, because there was a certain time where they called it by a different name. And then they even called North Africa, they called that really Mauritania, the whole top of it, but not just one spot. But that's another myth. Josephus asserts that these Ethiopians were descendants of Cush. Remember I talked about the ancient Cushites that inhabited, you know, the area that we call Saudi Arabia today.
Right.
The Sabians, the ones who taught Muhammad, the Sabi'un Hunafa, the one that's mentioned in the Grand Quran. These are the ancestors of the Moors, and that's why I say our school of thought come from there. It's a whole surah dedicated to these ones. You know, these are the seeds of Cush, Seba. You see, Seba. And so in Surah 34 in the Grand Quran, it's called Saba. And it tell you about how they was great builders of monuments and so forth and so on. You find this just through etymology.
Right.
You see, they were the ones who came up with the gas or the Gihaz, or what we call Amharic script. You know, this is the original script that existed before the modern Arabic script that you have. And a lot of that was adopted from the Kemetic script. Right. All you got to do is trace it back through the Abjad. So it says, these Ethiopians were descendants of Cush, and that in his time they were still called Cushites by themselves. It says, and by all the inhabitants of Asia. It says, according to Bruce, who traveled in Africa, the Abyssinians have among them a tradition handed down from time immemorial that Cush was their father. See, all this go back to what Prophet Noble Drew Ali was teaching when he talked about Egypt, the capital empire, and the dominion of Africa. It said Homer divides the Ethiopia into two parts. See, when it say Ethiopia means subdivided, see, that's the prophet teaching, right? And Strobo, but they want to tell you Noble Drew Ali made this stuff up and he didn't know what he was talking about, but they'll take what Homer said and what Strobo said. It says the geographer maintains that the division line, that's that demarcation line, ain't it? To which he alluded was the Red Sea. The Cushites of Asia immigrated in part to the west of the Red Sea, and that's going into West Africa. That's when it said that the old man Ham, you know, went over into the West Africa, and his son Cush stayed in East Africa. You see, northwest and southwest versus north, east, and southeast. So it says, so Eusebius also thinks these remaining unmixed with other races have engrossed the general name of Cushite or Ethiopians, while the Asiatic Cushites have become largely mingled with other nations and nearly or quite absorbed or as distinct people, well nigh extinct. They talking about the ancient inhabitants. You see, they saying the original stock. So this is why we're able to say, you know, the descendants of Adam and Eve are Asiatics and Muslims. Because that Asiatic aspect had to do with the earthbound condition, but the Muslim degree had to do with the divinity within it.
The spirit,
You see, one dealing with the flesh, one dealing with the spirit. So teaches our Grand National Chair. So it goes on. It says Asiatic Cushites have become largely mingled with other nations and are nearly quite absorbed, it say, or as distinct people, well nigh extinct. Hence, from the allusion of Jeremiah to the skin of the Ethiopian confirmed and explained by such authorities as Omer and Strobo and Herodotus, It says, Josephus and Eusebius, we conclude that the Ethiopians were an African branch of the Cushites who settled first in Asia. And we also conclude that these Cushites were Negroes. You know, they were using that terminology back then.
Right, right.
Letting you know a lot of people.
Yeah, you know that's us.
Yeah, you know what they really mean. It says, I do not recollect that any information is given to us in any other place in the scripture as to the color of the descendants of Ham, but is this sufficient as the premises from which to infer that all Ham's posterity are Negroes? In other words, they letting you know some more people came from us too. We everybody did.
Right.
It says the inference rather is that all of Ham's descendants, the Cushites alone, are black, because these are singled out by the prophet to illustrate his doctrine of the impossibility of the human heart to turn from its wickedness. I'm talking about the book of Jeremiah. It says, if the descendants, human heart, if the descendants of Mizraim and Canaan were of the same color as Cushite, it is marvelous that Jeremiah, it said, should pass them by. You know, and basically I made a mistake and clipped it too much, but it's basically trying to tell you that the people of Mizraim and Canaan, the Canaanites, was the same people. So this is confirming everything Prophet Noble Drew Ali taught. You know, one of these maps we can see is from 1538, 1543, and the other one is from Amsterdam in 1598. You know, so I just wanted to point that out since we were talking about Asiatics and, you know, the remnant, you know, that we are speaking of. It ain't strange we use the term remnant when we refer to people, a remnant of people, you see? So that's a whole nother measure. You know, they use that terminology in the Piscean record, you know, when it referred to some of those who would come from the line of Abraham.
Right, so yeah, that's where they're trying to say that it was cursed or something, right?
Well, what it is, they wasn't cursed because if you go back, it was 3 covenants that was made. One was the Noahide covenant. All Noah's seed had to be melanated. You know, we already know this, but there was a perpetual covenant that was made with him that Kemites was connected to. The Hebrews had their own covenant that was given to them, but that covenant that was made through the line of Noah, saying that perpetually their seeds would be delivered, and also through the Ishmaelites, because Ishmael was under the covenant of circumcision. You see what I'm saying? So that was another covenant. And that covenant where he was circumcised at 13 also brought him under the grace. So just through the circumcision, that was also a covenant, you know, that brought one on the grace. So when people just try to emphasize that it was a covenant that was made with the Israelites, you ain't telling all the truth.
Right.
You know, they ain't talking about that covenant that was, but if you talk to them, they know they can't deny it, some of our people. You know, we give honors to our brother Judah, you know, Jeremiah Judah, because he's familiar with those types of things. He teach, you know, the Afrocentric origin of the Israelites. We can't get by. Remember, I was just showing you, brother. I showed in the class we demonstrated the other night. I was showing you the connection to the E1B1A, you know, DNA link that goes not only through what they call the Sephardim, or what they call the Philosha, who were also enslaved with the Moors, but also exiled with the Moors in 1492. But these particular ones in the E1B1A category, it's said that that bloodline comes not only from Kemet, but it comes all the way over into the West, and it covers us, it covers the Cubans, it covers the Salvadorans, and this is exactly what Prophet Noble Drew Ali said in the same chapter we talk about, Capital Empire and Dominion. So here we have DNA evidence, we got archaeological evidence, we have etymological evidence. So how can you deny the truth after all that? Unless you just filled with hatred for self. Islam. So what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna stop, you know, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, and we're gonna go ahead and open up the floor because we'll give our Moorish kin a grand drawing on what we'll have for homework. But I think the Moors are more confident now that they see they got some tools over here to work with, along with the one we use in the workshop of the mind. So Islam, we're gonna call forth our officials. I know our chairman is most likely on a mission, but he may be there. So we're gonna call on our chairman first, Islamism, and see if he on the manifest.
Not available at this time, National Assistant Grand Sheik.
Well, Islamism, well, we already know you got his back, his front, his top, bottom, all like that. Islam, we love the grand man and the tribe of endurance. Come on, Grand National Secretary of the State.
Woo! Islam, Islam, Islam. Gratitude, National Assistant Grand Sheik. Islam Moorish can first of all on a rise, giving all praises to our Father God Allah, giving honor to our Prophet, Noble Jura Ali, the last prophet in these days and times. Giving honor to our ears class, our Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate class, giving honor to Act 1 and giving honor to all of our Moorish kin online, and also to you, National Assistant Grand Sheik, for this grand class. Trying to just get my thoughts together. You know, this is such an awesome degree. Much gratitude to you more first in reference to just showing the comparison between the papyri and the hieroglyphs that Rome tried to deal with as far as the remix and burying these truths. And I tell you, it just sent a chill through me in reference to the one that was dealing with the surgeries and the list of diseases and how it was taken from a holistic manner as far as not just dealing with the physical, as far as the herbs and things, but also healing spiritually, recognizing the fact that there's the blockages and how to get rid of it. And this just shows and brings to mind how grand and glorious our ancestors were. And so when we here in this new era of time see the magnanimous task that we have on us, you know, the prophet removed all excuses. We can't say, didn't know, or I can't do this, or what have you, because we are descendant from these gods. We are a spirit and a part of Allah. There is nothing that we cannot do. And the tool that you brought forth, and gratitude for showing us how to go as far as the Unicode, also the word itself, to enable us to get more familiar with the various forms of the letters and Ra, M, KEMET. This is just such a grand measure. And again, it's just, you know, moving the mind swiftly as far as the job that we have to do in making sure that our people get these keys and also our descendants. And it was a grand measure when you were speaking about how we cannot take this wisdom with us. And it is imperative that we put security and give sufficient explanations on the revelations that we receive, no matter what the form is. So, because you cannot bury the truth. And clearly the responsibility and the duty has been placed on us in this new era of time. And I tell you, it just uncovers even more of just how magnanimous these truths are that the prophet brought to us, and how we are connecting the dots to see how everything, one truth never contradicts another truth. And much gratitude to you, Dr. Shahid, for uncovering this, for recognizing that, you know, we still see that majority of our people have followed Rome's tracks to lead them off the path, but the prophet gave us everything that we need. So gratitude for this grand class. It makes, it still gives a feeling of discovery, if you will, as far as being able to uncover this and the greater works that we are to do as a people. So gratitude more for calling me forth. Such a blessed class, and much peace and love to all of my Moorish kin. Peace and love.
And Islamism, peace and love, goddess and queen. We give honors to you for that drawing, and praise be to Allah. And man, all I can say is it's definitely ascension from here. And it's gonna be a grand draw when we really start to put, like I say, our dictionary together. You know, this gonna be powerful, you know, and to be able to give this to the public, Moors. Because not only will we be dealing with that, because once we lay the foundation with the dictionary, we can put our own book out here on the Egyptian grammar, and it will be coming from a degree of more science. That's going to be the greatest thing that we can give to our people. And I want to share this screen too, so that our family can see, you know, something real quick. So we see often when you hear people talk about Metu. Now, in the book, there's also a papyrus. We're going to give our family that to go into, the Eber papyrus. The Eber papyrus is also a book that deals with medical things. That's going to be given to the Moors for homework. I actually have a copy of it, a little piece of it, that Moors can just go and pull some letters out of. They ain't got to really try to do a full translation, but if they chose to do so, praise be to Allah. It's only one page. But you got all the tools you need to do it if you want to. But the word Metu is used, they talk about the 46 Metu, you know, which they refer to as pathways from the heart. You know, these would be the arterial pathways of the blood flow and so forth and so on. It's said that when blockages come through these pathways, these was considered by our ancestors dis-ease, but also, again, they were saying that there was some spiritual blockage. That's why a lot of time we can use acupuncture and acupressure, you know, and mudras, so forth and so on, to open up the way. Whereas, you know, a lot of time when you see Western Freemasons stretching and digging to move on the plane of things made manifest, mudras are used to allow the energy of the spirit to travel freely through the body. See, that's the real science behind that demonstration. That's a whole nother measure. So what we see here is Metu deals with word, speech, and command. You see? Order, you know, or it can be a lie, but it's definitely dealing with, you know, one speaking. It means to talk and so forth and so on. That's one aspect. The word metet, a metet, you see? Word, speech, maximum, proverb, decree, verdict, sentence, business, affair, things, talk, opportunity. So we see why, and we see the word met again as falsehood. You see, then we see metet again, a foreign speech, right? We can say foreign speech outside, you know, it's falsehood. Metit, a meti, which is a talkative man, a chatterer, right? Then we have metut, a ut, high sounding words, right? Boastful words, metuat. It states met bunt, right? A met banet, which is evil word, speech, ill, omen, or curse. Metupet, which is a word of the sky, thunder. So when we hear thunder, in all actuality, we hear a speech that is coming, a speech of authority. Nothing in creation makes a sound as authoritative as thunder. You see? Now, it also says here, Metpert Nesu, which is palace affairs of gossip or gossip. Also Metut, which is word of death, condemnation, death sentence. Metut, in perab, words of pride, right? Metut in ma'at, words of truth or law, legal affairs, or matters or business. Metut inhat, words of hiddenness, crafty, deceitful words or action. See, that's that Western Freemasonry, right? Meru in sa'in ath, etc. Athanasian. The first 6 words of the Delta man with a man of Abu, Elaphatine. Meru in Sameth, Sinmeth. Last year's words. You see? Met Nefert, which is fair speech, smooth words. Metuneta, hieroglyphs, right? Words of the God. Thought, which is Tehudi. So basically, you know, that's a powerful demonstration because Tehudi is divine mind. So it makes sense now when Yahushua was sat in that place and was told to contemplate, you know, basically contemplate his frame. Contemplate upon the meaning of a thing. It was telling him to tap into his divine mind. And so you will see this word isolated it by itself in the R, Ray in Kemet, but you can also say Metu Ray in Kemet, Metu Ray in Kemet, Ara in Kemet, you see? Which is the word of the mouth of Egypt, the Egyptian language. That's why I said that was the language of Hieratic. You see? But even, you know, Ray in Kemet can be referred to as Metuneta. You see? There's nothing wrong with that either. Met cassette, right? Speech, vile words, rebellious words. Metutut, evil things are words. Metuturf, right? Word of wisdom. Metu akutuf, which is a form of the sun god. So all of these are different definitions dealing with that word, you know, what we're talking about, you know, metuneta and so forth. They even go into certain other words that relate to that as well, dealing with names, you know, but that's a whole nother measure, you know. So I just wanted to show our family that so they know where we come up with these particular measures. You know, you see they also have up here, I'm trying to pull it up. All these letters can be traced back, you know, to certain words that are very relevant to everything it is that we demonstrate, family. That's what I'm getting at. You know, so we blessed. We blessed. Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah. So let me stop sharing this. In gratitude again, Grand National Secretary of the State, Islamism without the schism. Okay, so at this time, well, I only see Sister Curta Bay, we got Brother Ra. Okay, so we in here. What is it? Well, we 5 deep up in here. Love, true peace, freedom, and justice. Goodness gracious. Praise be to Allah. So at this time, what we would do then is we'll call for, you know, our Moorish kin so that they can come forth and give their drawing. This was a class right here to miss, man. Goodness gracious, if one missed this right here, man, they don't know what they missed out on, but they'll get it when they see the video. They got to play a lot of catch up, but ooh, we. All right, Moors, the floor is open.
Islam.
Islamism.
Yes, sir. Gratitude. Thought that was big. Yeah, this is really taking us to another level.
Marvin L. Bay, let me stop you real quick. Didn't I say, I told you if I start putting these measures out there in the public that the class was going to dwindle down? Didn't I tell you that? I told you that. Soon as I start releasing, we can go back and look at the playback. Didn't I tell you that was going? See, I know our people like what they feel they can't have.
Huh. Wow.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Islam. Go ahead, brother.
Gratitude. But I tell you, you know, like it's just you're giving us a lot to deal with the mission at hand. You know what I mean? Because this is, like you said, it's not an overnight thing. You know what I mean? You know, this is like a generational thing. You know what I mean? But we have a part in it. You know what I mean? We have a, you know, certain mission that we have to do. You know what I mean? That nobody else can do. This is what we have to do. And you can't get lazy, can't, you know, sit back now. You know what I mean? We have to really dig into it. Because it's definitely Oh man, we got to unravel so many other things. Got to give him out of the up on the front. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm just grateful for having an opportunity, and I look forward to getting into the message, because it's going to take some concerted effort, most definitely. And I'm just grateful. Gratitude, God, man, for all you do.
Yes, sir. Gratitude, Islam. Say, well, you tuned up now. You know that, like I said, that's gonna give us a chance to do a lot of extensive research. And I would say I wouldn't be surprised if we find more along the way. We actually already have some that I mentioned in previous classes to draw from as well. Just like we had an Arabic demonstration, we got them here. I even got a few PDFs dealing with the Arabic, as it relates to the Egyptian as well.
Right.
I got a lot of them over here. We're gonna get a lot of this stuff out to the Moors, mashallah. But Islam, brother, for your drawing, we give honor to you.
Islam. One more thing.
Islam.
Yeah. Like when I was looking at that Hebrews, like you mentioned that too. Like
That's
they
home.
talk about that Hebrews papyrus, it's like it's about 20 yards of,
Yeah.
I said, man, that's huge, so they done broke it up, chopped it up. And some of the pages I went missing, but yeah, it just goes to show you. You say they say, I don't know how it is, that it was the most important one.
Well, that's why I told you, and it's most important because it deals with a lot of the stuff people suffering from now.
Right.
You know what I mean? And this basically shows that the Egyptians, a lot of this stuff we inherited through our lineage. That's that DNA, so to speak.
Sir.
You know what I mean? So that's proof of that. That's where it come from. It didn't just start here. I'm gonna show you. Matter of fact, remember, that's why when we were speaking the other day and we talked about it, I was like, no, brother, that's a different portion you reading from.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's what it is just a piece of it you had, and it's a piece I have.
Right.
We're gonna definitely let our Moorish kin get hold to this, for homework, and just go and see if they can identify the letters in here. I can see them jumping out at me already.
Yeah.
I see the letter S right there. I can see the letter A R right here, R there.
Right. That's an N up over that. That's an N up over that.
That's a
right next to the M up top. And you go to the right.
Yep, that's the N. That's right. That's the N right there. Yep, that's the M. And what I did is just went through Abjad and went letter by letter. You can see the B's all up through there. With you see the T's here or the D's.
Right.
So they just all up through here.
It's a bunch of them in there.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of them in there. You can see the A's over here. Yeah, so G. Yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna let our Moorish kin get hold to that demonstration for some homework.
I printed that out, right? But I go up, see where that light is shining.
Yeah. That's why I have this right here. I have two of them.
Okay, yeah. The one with that light.
Both of them out. See it right there?
Where?
Yeah, so you'll be able to see it. You just go between them.
Okay.
I'll just try to take another picture where that light ain't glaring, whichever the case may be. But
yeah, that might be the best thing.
Yeah, you can also see Seba.
Yeah.
When we were talking about the star, Seba means yeah, it means instructor, but it also has to do with the heavens or the stars, the constellations. But when you see it's dealing with some form of instruction. This would be an indicator here, what they like to call determinants. You know what I mean? They go to letter K right there.
Okay, like listen, you still got that pepper still up there, bro.
Yeah, I'm pointing it out right now.
Where's your cursor? I don't see it.
You don't see my cursor moving right here?
I don't.
Wow. Hold up,
Let's-
let me see. Well, I got some freezing going on too, because I can't even get out of here right now. Let me see.
Yeah, that's probably what happened. It froze.
Okay, let's see.
Oh, okay, I see it now.
Now it's back again.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Now I
yeah,
see.
but that's the star right there I was talking about.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Most
right
definitely.
here. We
Yes,
know
sir.
that's M. That's actually Y,
Why? Yeah.
or I, if you will, M. And then this is dealing with, again, a term that separate the word too. We can actually
Okay.
come all the way from over here. That look like a D,
Mm-hmm.
but that's MD, R. And this, like I say, you read from top to the bottom. That's another R.
Right.
And then
Now,
it look
that
like
line there, was that
that look like a A.
A? Yeah. Okay. That's
And then it comes to the Y, the I, and then the M, and then determinative, which separate it. You know,
Right.
determinatives, as they like to call them, or we say indicator, this is nothing more than like punctuation,
Right.
and
Right.
separation. You feel me?
Like a
So
comma or
the-
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all. You can actually point them out too. Like I can see those indicators there, such as this is one. This represents the house, what is often called, you know, they use it for pyramid and so forth and so on. This is also a determinative indicator right here. You know, you can see them all over the place. They there right here. That's one. So when you see things that are not a part of the alphabetical system, either
Right.
they
Right.
dealing with one of those, indicator, what they call determinative, or it could be a bilateral or trilateral.
Right. Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And so once you understand them rules right there, all you have to do is identify what it is you're looking at after that.
Right. That's gonna take a lot. That's gonna take some
Like
focus.
that's like M, R, and R. We see that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
KR, you know, I see that's a determinative right there, an indicator.
Okay.
You know, and then it goes into another word, MR. Actually, like it repeated the same thing, something similar to it at least.
It's close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, powerful demonstration. You know,
Yes, sir.
so the more we practice, the more proficient we get with it.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, gratitude, grand man. Islamism without the schism. All right. We got anything that we, our brother and sister, Body Bay and Curtis Bay want to bring on the manifest?
Islam.
Goddess and Queen. I know you love this class here.
Islam. First, let me rise and give praises to the great God Allah. I give honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I give honors to Act One. I give honors to all my government officials. I give honors to you, National Assistant Grand Sheik, for this wonderful, wonderful class. I tell you, you just be blowing us out of the water. I tell you, I'm enjoying it though. You're right. This was a lot, and I'm definitely waiting to get the recording, because the way I pick up, I have two computers going, and that dictionary where you showing how you doing the numbers and going and finding the meaning of the words. I definitely I know I'm gonna have to hear that more than just this one time. I got to hear that a couple of times in order and then watch how you did all of that. But hey, I think I can do it. I know I can do it as long as I listen to it and watch it. And I'm really excited about translating these things and being a part of us putting a dictionary together. And can you imagine what your grandchildren and my grandchildren and my great-great-grandchildren, when they find out grandma was a part of that? Yeah, I mean, we are working for our children to come, and like you say, they won't have to do all what we doing. We doing the hard work now. So when they come along, they'll be able to just pick it out and look at it. So gratitude, God, man. I tell you so patient with us, and you put so much work in, and it would be as my council general say, uncivilized for us not to pay attention and not to come and be here because you take time out of your busy schedule to teach us. And we really appreciate you, and we love you. Gratitude. And like I say, you say something about, it was one part you said we had to download that, and I got to make sure I know. Now, will you be sending that, sending that to us, and then we download it? You remember when you was talking about we had to download something?
Well, yeah, that's the tool that I would use.
Yeah. So you're gonna be sending that?
Yeah, we definitely gonna get that to the Moorish King, everything. Yes, long.
Okay. All right. Well, gratitude. I think. Hey, I'm good.
But you done said it one time. You say, I think I can. I remember my mama used to read me that. The little
I think I can. I think I can.
I can. I think I can. I know I can.
I know I can. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's long.
You
know, I ain't even know that measure was gonna really come back at me in this new era time. I know I can. I know I can be the truth.
Yes, that's right.
Ain't that what she really teaching? That, and you know what? That's probably, to be honest with you, what was instilled in me, you know, to when I, like a lot of people like to come crazy, and I ain't gonna let them, I ain't laying down.
Yeah.
It come probably from that drive, and I don't even know it. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And I think through the Father, you know, and, you know, it's that same spirit that you say we can't do it, we gonna show you.
There you go.
Show you we can do it.
There you go.
You know, that drive come from the great God Allah at the end of the day, because we love our people. It's the love. The prophet said the same truth that drew us, is the same truth that drives us.
Islam.
We ain't being driven on right now to do this for our people. They talking about, Robert W. Ali didn't teach nothing about no KEMET. You got Moors holidays. He didn't teach nothing about Egypt. Oh, so what prophet you been following?
I know,
right? The time I heard when he first started, he was Egyptian adept. So what you think that means? And if the book that we dealing with, them 18 missing years, was dealing with KEMET, you know, and then the books, you know, dealing with the social duty, dealing with KEMET, written by Akhenaten the Fourth, as it was saying, passed down to us. You know, I mean, what more do you need to know? Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Akhenaten came back again and wrote the Book of Fire this time.
I know that's right.
You do know the original Akhenaten actually had a scimitar in his sarcophagus too. And he came back with that too. So what that tell you? Goodness gracious. It's just too many things to be coincidences now.
I know that's right. He said,
ain't no coincidence.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. It ain't no strange happening. And that's why they also call it the soul of Ra. That's one of the names they refer to that scimitar as, the soul of Ra.
Islam.
That's the enlightened soul, you know, meaning the actions of the soul, or the immortal virtues of the soul, the ability to think, will, reason, understand who made us. Now go back and look at the parts that the body itself consists of to the ancient Kemites. They're gonna tell you the Ren, the Ken, the Ren, the Sahu, the Ba, the Ka, the Sekim. It go into all that right there, and it breaks it down where it relates to everything the prophet said it relate to. That's why we telling you, and by the time we get through giving these measures, our people gonna know, you know, what it means to really get that Kemetic teaching. You ain't got to go get it from Gaston Maspero, E. Wallace Budge, Alan Gardenia. You know, thank you for what you did, you know, by claiming it as yours, but we got to come and let the people know the truth.
Islam.
Pulling one over on us. Islam.
We back and we here to claim our own.
That's right. We back and we want everything that's owed to us.
That's right.
We want it in compound interest too.
Yes, sir. Most definitely.
That's how the prophet said it was coming back.
The prophet said it.
Mountains of gold being revealed. Islam. We the mountains, boys, and we the gold. Generational wealth.
Right.
Right. All right. Well, God, woman, we give honors to you, and also honors to you again, brother Miles Bay, our Grand National Secretary of the State, and we got our brother Bati Bay and Gary Miles Bay on the manifest. All right, brother, y'all got something y'all want to bring forth? Islam, brother Miles Bay, I see here. I see our brother Bati Bay came over. All right,
Islam,
Islamism.
gratitude, God, man. All praises be to the great God, Allah, honor to his holy prophet, noble Drew Ali. Islam, family. Once again, I rise and I give praise to the almighty great God, Allah. I give the highest honors to his holy prophet, our holy prophet, noble Drew Ali, his high name, Sheikh El Sharif Drew Ali. I give high honors to the greatest forerunner ever, Marcus, Mosaic Garvey L. I give high honors to our theocratic Moorish American government. I give high honors to Act 1, our divine constitution, bylaws, our government officials, staff, and citizens. And I also give high honors to you, Dr. Shadu Amenti Amosheti for this grand class today, this year's class. And I also give high honors to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, our Moorish flag, grand emblem, grand seal, everything that is Moorish. Islam, family. I am Divine Minister Dr. Gary Miles Bay, Apalachicola, Florida territory. And our family, I was at work at the beginning, and I kind of missed some of the beginning and some of the reading. But what I did see, I did see that it's gonna make it like a whole lot easier to like go through with what's being demonstrated, because like I said, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna look at the playback. But basically, I've been doing a little research on the history, and hopefully, next week, I'll be able to bring a grand measure on what I've been going over, because I also found this book, and it's got some original documents in it. And like I said, I'll be like putting that forth, because one thing that in this book, it basically on the language, it's a Egyptologist book, but basically on the language, it showed how Chapolium, how that document where he did the ABG, I have like a full-blown document of that and some more of his writings, and basically telling them the difference in heretic and how they were basically, like you say, concealing the letters, because there's a whole bunch of pictures of like the different birds, and then you can see how basically they are demonstrated with, they covered up the letters with the birds in different ways, and how the birds look similar. So like I said, I'll be bringing that out, next week, because I'm moving right now. That's why my internet keep dropping in and out. And like I say, but I'm gonna get on the playback, and from what I see, family, like I said, it's gonna make it a whole lot easier, because when you did show a couple of those basically scripts, and I could see some things where basically when you go into the Unicodes, it'll be easier to like draw the words out where they say they're determinatives. Now it'd be more easier to like read and like actually see what it says. So, and I concur with our Morris Ken for the portions of the class that I was here. And gratitude, Dr. Shaheed, because like I say, this is I basically, like I said, I did see a few things where I'm like, yeah, it make more sense now, because of the way you demonstrating it and bringing it forward. But I will be going over the playback, and whatever homework, I will be on it all throughout this week. So gratitude for letting me speak, God, man. And peace and love to all my Morris King here, there, everywhere. Islam. Gratitude, family.
And gratitude to you as well, brother. Peace and love. And yeah, we definitely got the tool to draw a lot of those definitions out. So when you go back and see the playback, you'll see where we at. And we're gonna get our family, to go into looking at the papyrus of Eber, the Eber papyrus, medical papyrus. And ones can read up on it and study it, what it was all about. But mainly we're gonna give the family a few pages that they can go in and pull out a few letters. If they so choose to try to transliterate the whole thing all as well, one shouldn't really have a problem with the letters, because we got way more than enough sources to show you like every letter it is, from A all the way down to T. You see what I'm saying? So we got that in there as well for the Moorish kin. One should have everything they need, be well saddled and equipped for the journey. Islam, brother. Also, we look forward to whatever you have to bring to the manifest in support. All right, brother Bati Bay.
Islam.
Islam.
praises and honors previously given, and honors to this class and all those that that bring about this class, and especially honors to Act One and especially you, Shaheed, for this information, because as I've been traveling, these things get to speak to the people. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times, it's like I don't know what my physical part of me shuts off, and then it just goes into the giving the information. It's like the opening of the mouth. It just come out, and half the time I'm not in control of it. All I know is by the time I come back to, people are looking at me like I'm crazy or some type of amazement. But these teachings have been, why, opening my eye, you know what I'm saying, and seeing that everything is really connected, and why this language is so important, because now we can really go back, especially with this the medical pathway, we can really go back and reverse a lot of things that's been going on with our people. And we don't need the Western, the Western medicine or whatever to try to, do their diabolical deeds. I've been having meetings with people that, they ready to come together. They just don't have the know-how, and I get, we're here to give them the know-how. So with all this information, even the language, people that don't even know about the Moorish American government, they're getting excited about the fact that we are going into our own language. They, you know what I'm saying? They're like, man, what's better than having something that really belongs to you? Because once you see the capacity that belongs to you, you can take ownership of it and really take ownership of themselves. And so I can't wait to get some of these that one document was 3,000 pages. So I can't wait to really get that in my hand, because I know it's going to reveal a lot. You know what I'm saying? And with that, I do leave as I come in peace and love to all of my family. Islam.
Islamism, Uncle Ajit Saneb, my brother, life, health, and prosperity be upon you and all of Moorish America. We give honors to you, grand man. This has been a grand drawing. Like we said, the truth is on the manifest, and the faithful will most definitely be rewarded for their faithfulness, and they're going to be able to wear that demonstration like it's supposed to be wore. Like a real Moorish American Muslim and an ADAP is supposed to demonstrate. Because this is it right here, family. We have been those who are the chosen, because many are called, but few are chosen, to endure. We keep saying it, it's one thing to be a swift angel, but another thing to endure. You see, and that's what make the tribe of endurance special. You see, that's what make them a model for us to all have an example to live by. You see? So a lot of people think they just get the title swift. I'm a swift angel. And that's it. And next thing you know, somebody throw a little dart out there and hit you in the wing. Now you flying down a bloop, 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 bloop. You know what I mean? So when it comes down to being a real swift angel, you got to be able to soar above, so to speak. And once you soar, you ain't got to flap a whole lot, just one good, nice flap, and there you go, up there. So we just say great, great measure from our Moorish kin. We give honors to you for all of your wealth, that you brought forth for our health, because health is to the body as honesty is to the soul. And may we continue to unfold as a nation, and the babies, the young and not yet born, we babies too. At least that's the way that we should perceive it, because that's what give us the ability to stand, and do what we do, because we got the mind of those who are willing to learn. Our cup is not full. And again, we can see who's studying the self, and the prophet know where everybody is along the way. So we just say gratitude. We love you. With love and divinity Moors. And at this time, want to give our Grand National Secretary of State another measure to come forth as a representation of the officials, and we're going to take it to the third heaven. Islam, goddess and queen.
Uncle Ajit Saneb, Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. There are no words. You know, I was just thinking about that measure where we plant the seeds, our children reap the benefit from the shadow of the tree. Praise Allah.
That's right.
Gratitude to
That's
our
right.
prophet. Praise
Now
Allah
you
for
see
this
what
demonstration.
you see what our Grand National Secretary of State just did. I'm gonna tell you what she did now. She did what the goddess do with that tamarisk tree in ancient Kemet. You ever seen the goddess pouring libation out of the tree? She just poked out of the tree with this. All right now. Praise be to Allah. Gifts of understanding are the treasures of Allah. Goodness gracious. We love you, sis, and we love the tribe of endurance.
Love you as well. Praise Allah for you. And my
Right.
orange skin.
Islam. Well, all right, Sister Curta Bay.
Islam, Islam, Islam. January 15, 1929, a warning from the prophet to be read at every meeting. I hereby inform all citizens that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the street. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any citizen or group of citizens who hold malicious feelings toward the government of the prophet violates the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, we receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Jew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the government is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the government. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways by the order of prophet Noble Jew Ali. A holy covenant of the Asiatic nations. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother have given you suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relations that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. Islam, Islam, Islam. This meeting is officially adjourned according to Act 2. Go in peace, Moors. Islam. Great class.
Great class. Gratitude, Dr.
Great class,
Shaheen.
beautiful
Peace and love, Orange
presentation.
skin.
Gratitude.
Love y'all.
See you in Sunday school.
Gratitude.
Good
See
luck.
y'all in Sunday school.
Islam.
Love.
See y'all in Sunday school.
Love.
Peace and
Looking forward
love.
to the homework.
Islam.
Islam.
That's right. Islam.
Cannot wait.
That's right. Peace and love.
Islam.
Love.
Islam.
Peace and love.
Islam. All right, family, I'll go in it for all.